I would have shaved if I'd known.
Unhappy hour.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to Unhappy Hour with Francis, Widdowson, Albert Howard, and Kathy Creek. Anyway, we just thought we would do a group Unhappy Hour because of the crazy Assembly of First Nations press conference where I clipped. Oops, just had a bit of an accident.
I'm holding my lip.
Where we clipped Garrison Settee, who is the Grand Chief of the Manitoba First Nations. And he was saying, this is what he's something like this, that you didn't need proof of there being children buried at Kamloops because Aboriginal people could hear the children speaking to them from the grave, and everyone was just going to have to believe this because that was their culture, and to not believe it was disrespectful. That's what Garrison said. He basically said at this press conference. And so I clipped this and put it on social media, and a million people, getting on to a million people have looked at it. So everyone is just unbelievably outraged that this is where we are now after 5 years of having to endure this bullshit. And now we have all these chiefs rallying around one another to perpetuate this falsehood and demand more money to do these grave searches, which are not about clandestine burials. They're about cemeteries which had markers, and now they're unmarked because of the deterioration. Families are claiming that they want to find out where their loved ones are buried, but I call bullshit on that too, because they don't care about the markers. They don't keep track of this. It is European traditions that are about the markers and so on. If you go to an Aboriginal cemetery and you look at what's there, it's all returning to nature, and that's perfectly fine to do it that way, but don't do it that way and then tell people you got to have a carefully marked out spot in a cemetery. We got to spend millions of dollars to find out who's buried where. This is just, again, rent-seeking processes to divert money to the Aboriginal industry. So I'm getting, this is getting very, very annoying, having to deal with this, what is called gaslighting, where people, kind of constantly drawing attention to somehow you said something incorrect or you haven't remembered something or whatever. No, you are manipulating people, neo-tribal elites, and your Aboriginal industry associates, the lawyers and the consultants who are making a killing off of all these unmarked grave searches. $321 million got allocated for this in 2021. And now Linda de Passage is saying, oh, there's not enough resources to do the excavations and so on. No, this is just not true.
They got how much?
$321 million.
Oh, wow.
In 2021.
Who exactly?
You could apply, it was the money allocated for the unmarked grave searches.
Okay.
And you have all these bands that are applying for this and so on. They get Sarah Bollier to come. They get Andrew Martindale, all these archaeologists and consultants that come and run their GPR machine. And then, of course, you got to pay all the elders to come out for the pre-confirmation spiritual kinds of ceremonies and stuff, plus the memorialization and the grief counselors and all these kinds of just general, dispersal of funds all over the place.
Right. So one of the things that seems to be kind of a smoke and mirrors or kind of conflating things is that at Kamloops in the apple orchard, there was no graveyard there documented ever.
No.
And so the idea that there's graves in an area where there was no documented graveyard gives the impression that these, if they are there, they would obviously be clandestine with nefarious reasons for being there.
Yeah.
And so conflating and saying, oh, well, you don't want to disturb a graveyard. We're not digging up your ancestors in a graveyard. Well, there's differences between, there's nothing surprising about finding graves in a graveyard.
Mhm.
You don't need to excavate them.
No. Yeah.
Right.
And that's the confusion. So they're constantly doing this. Like that was the issue for the
You're
truth.
not on camera.
Well, what they're doing is they're trying to win. And they're using any tactic they can.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to make a case for the money.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So that's what they're trying to do, is that in order to get more hundreds of millions of dollars more
Yeah.
into all this thing,
Yeah.
they've got to kind of make it seem like there's something nefarious going on. Because if you just did like Romeo Saganash. So Romeo Saganash was an MP, Leah Gazan's partner, actually. His brother died at the Moose Factory Residential School and was buried in the cemetery. Like, his mother lived in a kind of a hunting camp, so they didn't have a graveyard back at, in northern Quebec. So you would bury people who died at the residential school and their surrounding parish and communities in this cemetery. And now the grave markers have deteriorated, and so no one knows exactly where Romeo Saganash's brother is buried in this graveyard. So they searched around and they got some records, and they found out that the brother was buried at this plot.
Mm-hmm.
In the cemetery. So that's where the brother's buried. And they told the mother, that's where your son is buried. And she said, thank you for letting me know that. And they said, do you want to have his remains repatriated to, where I guess there's going to be a graveyard in northern Quebec now. And she said, no, he can just stay in the graveyard there. That's the situation that we're talking about here. So is that a really big issue for Aboriginal communities right now?
Well, it's as big an issue as they want to make it.
Mm-hmm.
We are not insisting that Aboriginal culture become civilized.
Mm.
We're accommodating it.
Mm.
There's all this bullshit all the time with, talking about their ancestors and your ancestors are total bullshit.
Mm.
Your ancestors are dead. They're no longer here. They don't have any presence.
Mm.
But that's a way of calculating and say, oh yeah, but that's their culture. No matter how ignorant and backward it is, that's their culture. We have to respect it. I don't respect everybody's culture.
Mm.
I don't respect anybody's culture, in fact.
Mm.
Anyway, what's got to do with me?
Most people don't know where their great-great-grandparents are buried.
No idea.
I don't know.
I don't know where my mother and father, their ashes were scattered. So, and we just did that as a way of as part of our remembering their situation.
Well, people want to do that. I was at that ceremony. Yeah, sure, So what? That was over.
Yeah,
We all went and had a beer. Or
That's
whatever
right.
We did.
the true Widdowson fashion. But my grandmother, I have no idea where she's buried. I have no idea where my grandmother, and my grandparents, I have no idea where they're buried.
Well, as a personal aside, I remember my father saying to me, I guess it was on the anniversary of my mother dying or something. He says, his mother died, and we can go over and we knew where it was. It was just off Cotonage Road, actually. And I said, why would I want to do that? I'm like, oh, okay.
But did your father do it?
Oh, yeah. He went.
That's interesting.
Well, I didn't see him, but I know he went.
And your brother went.
I think my brother went. Yeah, my brother was influenced by my father much more. I was influenced by my mother, and my brother was influenced by my father.
Yeah.
No, for the sake of historic records, I think that graveyards can be useful. And if, let's say, there's a graveyard that no longer has markers, if people want to put new markers up,
Yeah.
sure. And eventually, I think all bodies will eventually be exhumed for archaeological purposes. 1,000 years from now, maybe,
Yeah, maybe.
I think of how many already are.
Well, I love the bones. Like, if you've ever seen the European,
Billions of people have
remember
died.
the European stuff? Well, they didn't have enough room in the graveyards.
yes, they dig them up every.
So they dig
however
them
many-
up every 50 years or whatever,
or 100 years,
Oh,
whatever. Yeah,
and put all these bones in these. Like, if you go to
catacombs.
it was Lisbon, right? That was a weird one. So
Oh.
in Lisbon, There was
all those bones.
there's all the skulls were decorating the arches, and there was like all
Well,
these.
churches made out of bones.
At
Yeah.
Saint Pierre et Miquelon.
Yeah.
I was there, and they have burial places that you can see the bones.
Hmm.
You go, oh, there's Mom's tibia.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's her skull. Is she winking?
Is it
It's
a,
really bizarre. Like I grew up, the culture when I grew up, we wouldn't fuck around with dead bodies at all. We'd bury them, get rid of them. You know,
Mhm.
I don't like being around dead things now. I don't like being around dead animals.
But is there like a woo-woo superstition, irrationality around dead body, like that there's some sort of animating force that still inhabits
Well, this is ghosts.
ghosts?
So ghosts is the idea that when someone dies, especially if they've died under mysterious, or like there's something that is has to be rectified, or there's an injustice or something, and there'll be this ghost will haunt the area to kind of draw attention to the injustice. That's kind of those are the kind of the stories, and this is what Satie is doing with the Kamloops case, which is there's all these children who were murdered, 215, which we know it's not even 215. It's 200 because Sarah Bollier said that her false positives for the GPR were those were not 15. They were from the archaeology department. So we're going to talk about this accurately. 200 anomalies that are 200 children who were murdered and buried in the dark of night. And they, in fact, that 6-year-old children were woken up in the middle of the night to dig the graves. If you're going to dig graves in the middle of the night, you don't get the 6-year-olds to
believe
do it.
that bullshit. The 6-year-old kids are good grave diggers.
There's a lot of people who believe this.
I'm trying to
people
dig a
believe
pond.
They want to believe them.
I know they want to believe it. That's the interesting
They don't
question.
really believe it with any sense of authenticity to their belief.
Who knows? I don't know how much, like how attached people are to this. I've talked to many, many students at many universities, and they all claim to believe this.
What if we're invoking the spirits talking about them right now? Maybe we need to smudge. Whoa.
Oh, the candle just flickered.
Maybe I should roll a smudge.
I like paranormal research and stuff like that for entertainment purposes, for fun, for the hokey aspect of it. But to use that sort of superstition to prevent the proper investigation of a situation like this, that is no. Those things need. You cannot have it in academia. You can't have it in criminal investigations. You can't have it in any. You can't have that sort of thing.
What makes me really angry about Garrison Satie is his intimidation tactics, is what he's doing. And people should realize this, is that this chief is trying to intimidate people and stop them from asking questions about this situation. That's what he's trying to do. And he needs to be called out, seriously called out. But of course, we have the CBC journalists, Creason Ajute and Olivia Stefanovich. Like, why aren't there any other journalists besides the CBC who are there at that? Does no one else go there? Or did they just only allow those two to ask questions? Anyway, that was embarrassing what happened there, because they're the ones supposed to be holding all these chiefs to account. But Ajute, who's an Aboriginal, well, he pretends to be a journalist, but he's not. He's an activist. He's actually giving them ammunition to defend their arguments. Like, it's like they sat down before this press conference and got together and colluded as to what questions were going to be asked. That's how bad it was. That's what it seemed like. And the CBC,
they did that?
no, it seemed like that.
Right.
Like, why
That's
is he
really
why is he suggesting that they should mention this thing about it being they don't want to disturb the dead? Like, it needs to be mentioned. This is what the journalist says. It needs to be mentioned that Aboriginal people don't want to disturb the dead from their final resting spot. Bullshit. Manny Jules, who is the former chief, and Ted Goverson Jr. in the Fifth Estate. It was a CBC program, so the CBC has no excuse not to know that this exists. Said that the 13 family heads wanted to exhume the little ones so they could be treated with the respect in death that they never were afforded in life. That's what Manny Jules said, and also Ted Goverson. And that was a CBC program. So Creason cannot, sort of plead ignorance on this matter. The CBC cannot plead ignorance on this matter. Gillian Finley from the Fifth Estate, shame on you. You're a disgrace to journalism. You're supposed to be an investigative journalist, and you did this Graves in the Apple Orchard nonsense in January 2022. It's time for the Fifth Estate to do another investigative documentary on how this deception was perpetrated against the Canadian public for the last 5.5 years. So there.
Well, if there's a determining word for journalism, it should be objectivity. And that's very, very difficult to do, because you can't have, it's very difficult for us to be totally objective at all times, because we have reason and values. So do journalists.
Yep.
So we have left and right-wing journalists, and we don't deny that.
No.
We don't say, oh, you're not objective. Objective is saying somebody died. Subjectivity says some bastard killed them. Well, the latter one is what really happened.
Yeah. But the goal is objectivity. That's the thing, is that everyone has their political things, and we're all subject to confirmation bias. So we tend to accept the things that we agree with and question the things that we disagree with. That's a situation. But if you are a journalist, you have the goal. So you can check yourself sometimes and ask, am I going along with this because it's what I want to believe? That's what you ask yourself. And they're not doing that. Olivia Stefanovich, you're not doing that. And Creason, well, what a waste of, it's like this CBC Indigenous division, defund that division. That is not objective journalistic entity, and that is being funded by the public funds to have this ridiculous thing in place in CBC. It was like CBC North, when we were in the Northwest Territories, which was run by Marie Wilson, who was the TRC commissioner. She was a complete joke of she ruined the CBC in the North. So
that's why they call it CBC North.
I know,
and not CBC.
Right, exactly.
There's some good comments.
Okay, we're gonna go back.
The rules and regulations of the CBC.
Exactly, and that's CBC Indigenous. It says Indigenous standards.
Should we smudge before the comments, Francis? Are we allowed to smudge?
Okay, we're gonna smudge before we get to the comments here. Okay, so this is a smudge bowl. It has the Rational Space logo. I'm sure you can see that. Rational Space logo. So the idea of the smudging is we want to remove all the irrational influences that exist here. And in order to do that, we don't have the feather, of course, because that's like got some superstition associated. We have the George Orwell bookmark, right?
Right.
George Orwell was saying that freedom is the freedom to say that 2 + 2 make 4. Once that is granted, all else follows. So statement of facts is really, really important. So, okay. So you can hold this up there, Kathy. Oh no, here's it's already pre-burnt. I'll have the pre-burnt one.
All right.
This was done. This marijuana was grown with loving hands in Kamloops. Okay.
So we're smudging the irrationality.
Exactly.
I was reading an interesting book.
We're smudging the irrational. Yeah.
The irrationality. I have irrationality. I'm human. I think irrationality is kind of the default.
Tribalism, yeah. Tribalism. Okay. So Kathy is now. Kathy is now.
That's what she's doing. She's smudging. Yeah.
No, okay. So now I got to do myself here.
Shouldn't we pray before this?
No, this is.
Hey, hi, how are you?
I think you're wasting dope.
Take a good inhale, Francis.
Well, my favorite one was at the tribunal. There's this guy smoking a pipe, and he's using the pipe to smudge himself.
Why not?
Like, that was great.
So I feel like there are
Okay.
some, like with the smudging, it probably was something that was done in the teepee for bugs.
It was.
I would assume.
Yeah, it was bugs. It
For
was
sure.
to get rid of the
Yeah,
bugs.
and it's effective.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that was the origins of it, to get rid of the bugs, remove the bugs, make them disappear. Okay, so now we've smudged the irrationality out of this space with the AK-47. That was the AK-47 brand. I got another one that's called something. I can't remember what it's called. Let me see if I can find
What are
it.
you looking for?
There's a baggie right by the bottles there.
Oh, and Francis is not responsible for anything I say or do. So just so
A little bit.
that.
Yeah. Can I just see it? That's
Someone asked if olives make martinis better, and they
Definitely.
do.
Definitely. So this brand is called Harlequin.
Harlequin.
And this was lovingly tended.
I'm not sure that's spelled correctly.
I don't know how Harlequin is spelled.
Harold.
Does anyone know?
It's
Maybe
poetic
it is
license.
K-U-I-N, yeah.
It's poetic license.
I think that's
for
right.
pot.
Yeah, that's right. This was lovingly tended by a back to the lander who shall remain nameless in Kamloops, or just outside of Kamloops. Okay. Okay, so let's go and take some questions. Okay, this is all the joking. Sorry, I gotta.
Yeah, the necromancy, is that what it's called when you talk to the dead?
Yeah.
Or mediums?
It is with great sorrow that I announce the passing of my imaginary friend Gary, but we can all hear him speaking to us.
Yes.
We can. Gary, are you there? Gary says the band should do the excavations
Mhm.
because they received the $12.1 million and they got 3.2 specifically. And Manny Jules and Ted Goffreyson Jr. said that the 13 family, that was the process. So all this stuff about process, they followed the process, which is the family heads decide. And they did. And they said that they wanted to give the little ones the respect that they deserved in death as they never got in life, because they were dumped into this mass grave in the apple orchard. And that's how disrespected these 215 or 200 or whatever they're saying children were treated.
Cheers, Gary.
Thanks, Gary. I totally agree. It's all her fault. It's her fault. That's what she does.
It's Frat Francis's fault.
Okay. So, and I wonder where it looks like I'm not sure if Kathy, you saw the meltdown that happened last Unhappy Hour.
No, I don't think I was there that
But
time.
Daniel Sparkling Eyes, who has a bit of a sense of humor, was going after Be Vigilant and calling Be Vigilant a boomer and making all sorts of jokes about boomers.
Wow.
And then Be Vigilant stormed off in a huff.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Is Be Vigilant back?
No,
No.
Be Vigilant, that's
Oh,
it.
no.
That was it. That boomer jokes.
Oh.
And I said, what can you expect from Dan Sparkling Eyes? That's why he's called Dan Sparkling Eyes, because he likes to have these kinds of jokes about various things that some people don't understand. Okay. So if they hear voices, I have to make sure I don't advance this to. I often get the cursor wrong. So if they hear voices, so do I. I hear voices telling me Frances is as courageous as Rosa Parks and doesn't have as big an organization behind her. That's true. Well, I don't know that. Like I'm not under threat. Well,
Right.
Not very much. Like Rosa Parks could have been lynched at any time, right? In the South, like that was pretty scary. I mean, right now we got a bunch of cry bullies and ineffectual beta males who can't punch, and so like they're flailing away and they can't. Nothing has happened, which is really very, except for the gangsters in Winnipeg when Daniel Page feared for his life because he thought he was going to get stabbed. That was the worst episode.
I was going to cut that candle. Thank you. I just spotted that.
Okay.
Never let an unlit joint go by.
I bought Grave Air for my daughter for Christmas. She likes the book a lot. Oh, great. So that's good. People are reading it. Hi back to her. She's looking good. So I don't know. Frances is whipping her martini.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
Throwing it back?
Whipping up. I think maybe whipping up.
Oh, okay.
Just kidding. Well, Albert made the martinis,
Mhm.
and Albert makes a much better martini than I do. I don't know. What's your secret, Albert?
Oh, I can't.
He
I'd
makes.
have to kill you if I told you that.
So you got this much more.
He makes good Manhattans as well. I love
I do
Manhattan.
make a good
And
Manhattan.
it's hard to find a bar that makes a Manhattan these days.
Right, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
But they're not popular.
No, I like them though.
I can make you one if you want.
Really? I would love that, Albert.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Okay, Kathy, are you know? The secret's out, but it's legal.
We're adults engaging in adult.
For all those people who wondered, you don't have to wonder anymore. Anyway, it's unhappy
I
hour.
can do a circle.
So what are you gonna do? Like you can't resist. Well, and plus there's all this the sacred. It's kind of spiritual. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of people offended. They're already offended by the martinis and everything. Oops, sorry. People are making drinks. Yeah. No proof required to believe then. So no proof required to deny them. Yeah, isn't that the Christopher Hitchens extraordinary evidence? And it's getting a lot. Well done. Yeah. So that Garrison Settee thing is just, I've never seen anything like it. I don't know what's going on, whether people are just getting fed up and they're saying, that's it, I'm not putting up with this bullshit anymore, or whether it's just a particularly striking clip. But I put the Manny Jules clip up about Manny Jules saying that, we have to respect the children in the afterlife and whatever, or like currently. And that didn't get very much traction at all. So I never know what's going to do it. It depends on, I guess, what happens and who reposts it. Yeah. Daniel, excellent. Daniel Sparkling Eyes. Hitchens razor. Yes, that's what I was thinking of. What can be asserted without evidence can also be dismissed without evidence. Yeah.
Right.
So there we go. So why are we bothering with this 215 bullshit? Chiefs don't have anything better to do. $321 million. Yeah, like solve the fetal alcohol syndrome problem, the sexual abuse problem, and the housing and water problem, not to mention the educational problems and so on, rather than all this other stuff, which is just rent seeking for the Aboriginal industry. They just distribute it amongst all themselves through all their nonsensical ceremonies and things like this.
It's not very strong for anyone that's upset. It's just ceremonial.
It's not even really real marijuana.
Yeah,
It's just fake. It's fake marijuana. We're just putting one over on you guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where are we at on the comments here?
There are a lot of conferences to fly to wearing the right regalia. Yep.
My favorite one was the lady with the weasels hanging from her ears. That's a good one. They just
that was Linda Debassage. So there's been a bit of, because Gabrielle Lindstrom, this woman who pushed me out of Mount Royal, Gabrielle Lindstrom, she went back to her maiden name, Gabrielle Weaselhead. And everyone keeps on, every time I mention the name Weaselhead, everyone...
Boy, that's touching the rim, isn't it?
Everyone finds that a bit hilarious. But I don't understand why she's called Weaselhead. Like, was it because of that kind of thing that Linda Bissage has? Is like skins were worn? Maybe that was the nature. It's some kind of ceremonial thing. But
she's a literal weasel head. She has weasels hanging from her head.
That was Linda Debassage.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what the skins were.
They were weasels.
They were weasels?
Or something. Or
looked like weasels.
Yeah, in the weasel family or genus or whatever.
Weasel-like.
Weasel-like. And I don't think that, is there any archaeological evidence of anyone making a head thing with weasels hanging from their ears?
I don't know.
or their temples.
Well, I find this thing that Linda Lebasage is wearing with the birch bark collar and then all the skins. That's
Well,
just
a lot of their names are not literal, like Crooked Hand and Broken something.
Yeah.
They're not. They're just like that's the name, but it's not related to anything.
no.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not
Oh,
related to anything.
I thought Crooked Hand would be someone with a crooked hand, and they'd be called
Well, it
Crooked Hand.
might have been at one time.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it can't.
Oh,
be.
it's just passed
It
down.
doesn't necessarily
It's passed
have
down.
to be.
Yeah, and it's quite common, not just in Aboriginal cultures, to have this at the beginning. When we were in Greece, we were talking about this the other night at Milos, the island of Milos. There was a mining museum, and they were interviewing all these miners. And this guy, he was deaf, and everyone called him Daffy.
Well, they said that they would apply kind of literal applications of names. So with Shorty,
Yeah,
there's a
Shorty.
one, yeah.
Shorty Brown. It was in the
Shorty
Yellowknife.
Brown, yeah.
So Shorty.
Let me tell you, there's this guy. I had to contact somebody in the Yellowknife, and about actually something to do with kids' skates. But anyway, that doesn't matter. The point is, the guy said to me, "Well, just call Shorty Brown." And I said, "Well, what's his name?" He said, "Oh, it's Shorty Brown." I said, "No, it's not me. I'm not calling anyone Shorty." So, who? So I said, "Well, we don't know. Everybody calls him Shorty." So I'm going to call him Mr. Brown.
Yeah.
I'll dial it.
Yeah.
Ring, ring, ring. Shorty Brown here.
Yeah. So
Was
getting
it-
back to the cameras, which we're talking about. So how many Canadians do people think still believe that the remains of 215 children have been confirmed at Kamloops?
How many Canadians is it a concern to?
Hmm.
A whole lot of Canadians won't know what you're talking about for the start.
They will, because of the mass hysteria that took place, and anyone who was conscious of all the orange shirts and the tears and the memorials and everything
Well,
like
they're
that.
still pushing it.
Yeah.
I was at a
Okay.
event.
We should maybe do just a little bit of a segue here, because this is related, but it's not. It's so. Kathy, why don't you tell us what happened at Bragg Creek?
Yeah, so there was a community building weekend. Wonderful things happening, a live stage both days, kids games, scavenger hunts, nature education tent, farmers market, car show, you name it. All sorts of wonderful things were going on to build community. Dance lessons, everything. So all these great things that you want to participate, you want to be social, you want to go out and be a part of your community and meet people and mingle, and it's important. And some zealot who can't help herself, or a group of them, took down the Canadian flag in front of the building. I was told that there used to be a Canadian flag on that pole, and they raised. How do you say?
Yep.
They flew the colors of the Every Child Matters orange.
But it had
flag.
the Every Child Matters. It had the feather. It's that common flag, which I actually could share. No, it'll cause it. Anyway, there's a common sign which says Every Child Matters. It's orange, and it has a feather with like white and black.
So this flag is flying above all the children playing below it on the slip and slides and whatever. So we all have to go under these new colors that are flying, which is propagandistic, as well as a banner at the entrance. So all of these handprints, many of them seem to be small children's handprints that were made to paint this banner. Orange handprints with a central Every Child Matters. And these words, this is manipulation right off the bat, because it's like, well, that'd be like making a flag that says "Don't kill puppies" or something, like don't kick a dog.
No thumb screws in kindergarten.
Right. So or as Candace was, I know she has a bad rap, but water is wet. Just something you cannot argue with. Yes, of course, every child matters.
That's populism.
I'm not debating that, but this is a propaganda, narrative pushing, right? Sorry, what did you say, Albert?
It's populism.
Populism?
Populism is a value that's put forward that nobody can disagree with.
Mm.
The right wing, left wing, fascists, everybody agrees. Can't torture babies. No, everybody. Fascist Hitler was against torturing babies.
Right. So yeah, this sort of idea that you're not allowed to question it, and if you do, you're a horrible person. Who would? Who would question the raising of this flag or having this banner at the gate? Well, I had to get up the gumption, and I walked around talking to, because I feel like in these situations you need to counter signal and you need to find out who needs to be held accountable.
Mhm.
So I walked around trying to ask volunteers whose decision was this to have this up. Who did this?
Yeah.
And everybody gave me the runaround.
Mm.
I don't know. Yes, you do. And you should be accountable. My tax dollars are paying for this.
Exactly.
And mostly, people shut down and didn't want to discuss it and just kind of ran away. I did have one person who was on the opposite end who wanted to have a conversation, and I learned some things, because he said, well, even if there weren't 215 murdered children at Kamloops, even if that is a deception, children died in the schools. And I said, well, children are dying in the children's hospital right now. Should we have a flag to remember the children in the children's hospital up above this event, which is supposed to be a happy event? You're supposed to not have any cares or worries. You're supposed to just enjoy making some nice memories. So I was trying to break the censorship ice a little bit.
Okay, yeah. Well, it's interesting when you're in that kind of situation, you feel a little bit like it's like you're ready for some kind of slight confrontation. Like you have this kind of sense that by asking these questions, you're going to be seen as if you're a person who's not on side. You're not really going with this whole good thing that we're trying to do here.
Yeah, well,
like that kind of you're getting a bit of a sense. I can just sort of feel it when I'm starting to ask people questions like that, and it's hard to keep yourself just very. Hey, why are we doing that? Why is that happening?
The question doesn't have to be antagonistic. The question could just be wanting further information.
Yeah, exactly.
Further confirmation.
Yeah.
So, I was a little bit at first. I got a little bit hot-blooded.
Yeah, but it's like you almost need to have that to be able to do it in the first place, because you're feeling the pressure to not do it. Like that's the pressure. Is we might not all agree with this, but it's kind of impolite to ask questions about this. That's the general. That would be the most positive kind of feeling one would get when it's not really appropriate for the organizers of Bragg Creek Day, which is just about a fun thing for people to come out and just have common ground about being people at Bragg Creek, to push some kind of highly contentious political point.
Divisive, yeah. So when I first started, I went into the volunteer office and there was a woman there, and I just said, whose decision was this? And I was a little bit hot-blooded. I was just assertive. And she said, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that I upset you. And I said, you didn't, it's not your fault. Sorry. Because I made her feel uncomfortable. She dealt with it really, really well. And later on, I had some conversations with men that were selling me raffle tickets, and they were very enthusiastic. They were like, yes, we agree, but thank you for supporting community. Because you what is the word? How could I put this? It's almost like you don't have a choice. Like, I don't want to not participate in my community, but I'm forced to. I have to declare that I don't agree with that, because by being there by default, it's assumed that you agree with it.
Can you think of any examples of that?
Examples of
what you just described?
Well, these community days in Bragg Creek, they have the Every Child Matters flag hanging from a flagpole above everyone, and then a banner at the entrance that says Every Child Matters. And so just by being there and engaging in the activities and socializing under these colors being flown, it's assumed that it'd be like being under Nazi flags. And unless you're saying, hey, I don't agree with that, it's just going to be assumed. There's going to be an illusion of consensus. And I don't want to participate in this illusion of consensus. I want to break that censorship.
Well, a good example is during the Vietnam War and the anti-war movement, which was very, very broad, there were demonstrations. So you had the Communist Party of Canada's demonstrated at their banner, everything else, and the Trotskyists and so on. You also had the United Church and the Unitarians, and all they had, they weren't part. Just because somebody had a banner in front of them doesn't mean that they adhere to that banner, because they had their own. And they could be almost contradictory. I don't know how contradictory, but they could be contradictory, you know. Well, no. There was, for instance, the CP, during the Vietnam War, the CP wanted the negotiations.
Who were the CP?
Communist Party.
Communist Party.
That's
Sorry,
the Russia.
sorry,
Soviet Union.
Russia.
Well, at the time, it was the Communist Party of Russia, but the Communist Party here supported the liberals because the liberals were accommodating the Communist Party in Russia.
Right.
So that was a trade-off. They didn't support the Communist Party in Canada. They were the Communist Party from the Soviet Union.
Yep.
And they denied their. It's just really amazing.
Okay, but getting back to the Bragg
Yeah.
Creek thing. So we have the Bragg Creek.
Something that's
situation.
really funny is that an Alberta separatist group tried to set up an event there, and the event was canceled because I was told, this is all hearsay, that Bragg Creek Community Center doesn't want to be political, wants to remain neutral.
Yeah.
So to
That's
remain
all I read that in the
neutral,
newspaper.
yeah, you don't take down, you keep the Canadian flag, which represents all of us. The Alberta flag represents all of us, and you don't put up political messaging or propaganda flags in its place. So
Yes. Yeah. And you know, I know the reaction to that is going to be. There's a number of Aboriginal people in Canada who don't agree with the Canadian flag, don't accept the Canadian flag. So that's so therefore the Canadian flag is a political symbol, because not everyone in Canada,
What natives don't?
the native sovereigntist.
It's not very big.
Albert, do you want to come back here
No.
in the video? No.
No.
No, you're good. Okay.
Albert just wants to be in the distance, you know,
It works.
providing
And
input.
Thank you, Albert, for
He's
the Manhattan.
You might want to divide that and put a little more ice in it. Might have cooled off. Might have warmed up by now.
Probably be just fine.
I can share it with you, Kathy, if you
Let's
want.
do that.
Let's
Let's
do
share
that.
it.
We'll share it, and then we'll put ice in it. Oh, I'm going to probably spill this.
Or you can just sip out of it if you want. We
I'm
can
just
just share this. Okay. Whoa. Oh, here, let me try it. Hold on.
Shouldn't let you kids drink.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Here we go.
Okay.
That's
Well, we
it.
got more where that comes from.
All
anyway,
right.
So if we spill it up on the.
Woo!
Okay, so we need ice.
Need what?
Ice in the. Oh, we got ice in that water, right? Is that from the martini? That's martini, right? Is this yours? You're having this?
It's mine.
Can we take some
Mine,
ice?
You can have the ice.
Okay.
I saw someone, definition of ancestor is someone from whom you are directly descended. So by definition, a child is not an ancestor.
I think it's
Actually,
always on the maternal line, though.
no,
No?
that's the Jewish faith, but is family of an ancestor. So my uncle is not my ancestor. He's my relative. My ancestor would be my father, my grandfather. Cheers.
And we should have a.
Well, you
Right,
can't.
correct.
You can't prove a.
Thank you,
yes,
Janice.
But your ancestor has to be a bloodline.
Right. Well, I talked.
But you can't tell a bloodline unless it's maternal.
Right. So I explained this to Jim McMurtry. He made a post about the Vikings that coming to Canada being his ancestors, and I just said the probability of that is not very high unless they returned to Iceland or Greenland, and then you descended from them at that point. But if people from your same ethnic group go to a certain area and then their civilization dies out, they are not your ancestors because they don't have any descendants. Ooh, thank you.
We got the maraschino cherry.
When I was a kid, I ate a whole jar of maraschino cherries, and that was a bad life
I
choice.
know, that was a bad decision. I think all of us has done that.
Yeah.
And no names for these 215 kids. That's not normal. Right. You
No
think
names.
I did see one.
No names, and none of them reported missing.
right?
I was reading
What
something.
about that? You know, Johnny's that hasn't been home for 3 days. Shall we mention it?
Cheers to Gary.
Gary.
To who?
To Gary.
Gary, he's the imaginary
Imaginary
friend. He's talking to us right now. We're listening to him.
But I wish I'm kicking my, you know how you're reading stuff about various residential school stuff or whatever, and there was this story, and I'm gonna have to find it again, about a person who went to the Kamloops Union Residential School and mentioned the first name of someone who she said had disappeared from the Kamloops Union Residential School. So we've had a number of these cases where there's this kind of a statement made, like in the Fifth Estate documentary, you see this. This guy will say, "Well, there's this kid who was sleeping in the bunk next to me, and then one day he just disappeared, and he was this and that, and you know he's you know, like it's not definitive, but it's like that's a likely one of the 215 that is this kid who was next door and just disappeared one day."
Mm-hmm.
And then the 4 kids hanging from the barn, the rafters in the barn, like those 4 kids. And then Kevin Annette's the 10 children who were
Has
kidnapped
that
by.
ever been proven?
You know, what 4
This is made
kids
up.
hanging in the?
Yeah, this is Baptiste, Audrey Baptiste in the Fifth Estate program, which Gillian Finley didn't ask any questions about. 4 boys were hanging from a barn, like they're hanging from rafters in the barn. 4 boys, and no one knew what happened to them. And Audrey Baptiste tried to ask questions, and she was punished by the nuns. And so we didn't know anything about what happened
More
to the
bullshit.
4 boys.
That's
Bullshit.
stuff. I mean, I'm anti-religion, but
Mhm.
they really shit on the Grey Nuns to the extent that it's ridiculous. They were burning babies.
Yes,
Where
incineration.
do they
Right.
get the fucking
They had
babies?
an electric chair as well. So I got totally sucked into the cabinet,
Yeah.
Kevin Annette thing. And he had a documentary called Unrepentant. He had a website called Hidden from History.
Yeah.
And I actually got so sucked into it that I posted this. I was in ETOL at the time. I feel guilty. I feel like I helped cause what happened later on in ETOL, because ETOL is the most zealot as far as, you know, this woke indigenization sort of thing. I posted on all of my followers and following people, which included professors, included fellow students, Kevin Annette's documentary.
Yeah. So is this what they call karma?
Oh, I lose sleep over this. I'm sorry.
Well,
I'm sorry. Oh, goodness. I was not a critical thinker, because I was just like, oh my God, they put kids in electric chairs and they laughed as they, you know, pressed the buttons and all these horrible
First of all, we
things.
have to consider. I'm from Montreal, and Quebec is a large component of Catholicism in Quebec. So a lot of my friends are Catholic, and so I have a good grasp. And I went to Loyola, so I had a good grasp of what Catholicism is all about. And none of that reflects what they would do. The idea of perverted
Right.
priests. The priests are perverted in the sense that they violated their Catholicism by not being celibate.
Mm.
That's just it.
And there's a certain amount of, because you're around young
But
people.
celibacy is a perversion. It's totally unnatural.
Mm.
So when people are subjected to that, they're inclined to commit just things that are
Right.
that are not you know, acceptable.
I feel like there's most likely corruption. You know, power corrupts absolutely. Is that however the saying going?
Mhm. Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Right. So when these people are given power, or if they bring in Machiavellians and that sort of thing, and then they have control and power over other people, I do think that there probably are a lot of problems in the Catholic Church. I think that there's a huge problem with passing off residential schools based because of a lack of resources over to these churches, which is a cult.
Okay.
The Christianity is a cult.
So we have a question. We have
The
a question.
principles of Catholicism, coming from their philosopher St. Thomas Aquinas, is such that it has not been granted. What it does is it opens up the possibility of corruption within it. But that doesn't mean all priests are corrupt.
Right.
I
Not all
think some
priests
are
are corrupt.
dedicated. I've known Catholics. I know Dennis Meany, I'll even name him, who definitely adhered to and struck to it like dead on.
Right. And I don't want to piss off the Christians. I'm scared of pissing off the Christians.
Well, they should be pissed off as
Well-
much as everyone else. Like, no one should get a pass. Like, the problem is that everyone kind of goes after the Christians because they're
It's
a soft
easy.
target.
Yeah.
Unlike the Muslims, who will kill you if you go after them,
Right.
and the Jews, who will use money and influence to make it very difficult for you to criticize Judaism.
But
Right.
not only that, but Judaism doesn't recruit.
And there's good aspects about Christianity. One symbolism that I really enjoy, which Jordan Peterson pointed out, is that Jesus represents the truth, right?
Who says that?
Who says that? That's the same way that if you were to read Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit has the ring, and that symbolizes whatever, right? So you get to kind of, it's like this poeticness to it.
But do you
this
think
art.
that Jesus symbolizes the truth?
He could? Why not?
Well,
like, for the
truth
sake of
love,
argument, if he does symbolize the truth,
Okay.
if
Yeah. So we could just make it so. So
yeah,
you need a symbol of the truth.
right. So
This
here we
is
go.
in the
Well,
context
he
of
he
truth.
said himself,
Reality is the truth.
if he even existed in the book, it says Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life,
Oh,
and
yeah.
no one gets to the Father
Yeah, but
except through me."
Jesus said
But,
that.
right. Well, if he existed at all, right? So we don't know. Was that just Paul hallucinating? I'm not sure, but
Well,
he,
first of all, we don't even, Christians, so I'm sorry to break it to you, but we don't have any evidence that Jesus
existed. But if he said, let's say he represents the truth, even just in a poetic way, what do we do to the truth? We crucify it.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So I like that. That's the one thing I
there you
really
go.
enjoy
Okay,
about
yeah,
Christianity.
yeah. But it's I don't know. It's getting too theocratic in terms of the what is actually going on. So there's the Bible, and everything can be whatever you want it to be. If you're not, if you're an toilet paper, if you want, like, why not? Or whatever. Like, if you're out of toilet paper and there's nothing else, well, maybe that one instead of, Bertrand Russell's The History of Western Philosophy. If I were given a choice between the Bible and Bertrand Russell's History of Western Philosophy, then the Bible's got to go. Like, it's paper, got to burn it in the stove, whatever, like this kind of thing. But if you started talking like that about the Quran,
Yeah.
you're going to be in serious trouble.
I burnt a Quran on a live stream covered in dog shit one time
There you go.
because I believe that.
You're lucky
Go-
you're still alive.
Go big or go home. Go big or go home.
Islam is cancer.
Well,
It is.
Islam is just the worst thing to. Islam has to be rejected and destroyed by humanity.
Right.
You
So
can't put up with that
it's
bullshit.
in the
Look at their
teachings.
position on women. They
Right.
think women are here to serve men. Are we going to accept that? Everybody who accepts
Well, if
being a
you
Muslim
don't
is
accept it,
accepting
you
that.
get beat up, right? Or you get murdered.
maybe
or
it's
but
true.
people
get
say
acid, get
people
acid thrown on your
support
face.
Muslims
Right.
and Islam, so they're supporting that.
Mhm.
That's
Women-
right there in the Quran.
Women
I've got
can
three
serve
of
For
them.
men.
thousands of years, various religions have argued that women are the inferior sex.
Yeah.
Physically.
So are
that's
you going to
true.
argue with thousands of years of theology?
I certainly am. I'm in.
If it worked for thousands of years,
I'm in
then
favor
why
of
wouldn't it be
progress.
appropriate now?
Yeah.
We are superior to men in some ways and inferior to men in some ways.
It's not a
It's not
superior and
question of
inferior.
superiority.
No?
We're not in competition.
No.
Men and women are biological units.
It's not about competition. It's just about
It takes a
facts.
man and a
Exactly.
woman to progress.
Exactly.
Right, but men are superior physically. That's why men shouldn't be
It's
in
not
women's sports.
superior. It's different. Man's needs,
Superior.
men's physical needs are satisfied. Women's physical needs are satisfied
No,
by feminine.
If I need something heavy lifted, right? If you want to be rescued out of a burning building, right?
I'll take a weightlifter.
Right. Well,
Yeah. Okay.
most
I get your
likely.
point. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. So there was a question that was asked that I wanted to answer, which,
Yeah.
and I'm just trying to find it.
Take your time.
It was specifically directed to me, which I thought was very, very.
This chat is lit.
I know the chat
People
is
are
just
going-
like it's gone. People are really animated because of the. So Daniel Sparkling Eyes really liked your comment, Albert, that there's mom's tibia.
And what?
There's mom's tibia. When your comment that you made earlier.
I thought that was particularly funny too. See, Daniel has a very like he's always trying to get the humor. He gets the humor of things.
If your mom
even
was,
though other people
her,
don't
her
get.
grave was exhumed and then they built a church with her, you could go to the church and say, there, there it is.
Oh no.
You know, the trans people, when they get their face shaved off,
Yeah.
then they get the bones and stuff, they keep them.
They
and
keep the bones.
Yeah, they keep the
Well,
bones.
you know the people now with
Wait a
that.
minute, you're generalizing.
Some do.
Some
I don't
of
think
them
they
do.
all do
Not all
that.
do.
No.
I mean, all trans people.
If you're weird
are
enough
crazy,
to get your
but
face
it
like
doesn't mean
peeled
they're
back,
Okay, so here's
No
the
offense.
question. Here's the question I was
Okay.
looking for. So, and this is good because it's going to allow me to explain this. I'm curious, Francis. So Tobias asks, I'm curious, Francis, do you believe that there are no bodies or are you more agnostic? So this is about the 215.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of street epistemology, I strongly disagree with the claim about the bodies. I think it's highly improbable.
You can't believe in negative in the first place.
It's highly improbable.
There's no such thing as believing something is not there.
But probabilities. you
There's
can
just no
generate-
evidence that it's
But
there.
I think it's
But that
improbable.
doesn't mean that you.
I'm making a claim about probability. It's highly improbable that there are remains
So what?
in the apple orchard. Well, I'm just saying, I think it's possible that there are remains in the apple orchard,
Yeah, that's right.
but it's improbable.
Yeah.
First of all, who would the,
Nobody's arguing that though.
Also, when you were, the 215 claim, that's what they're claiming. They're claiming that kids as young as 6 buried graves
Yeah.
and buried
Well,
clandestine
you know they're
graves.
so strong.
They were strong.
They can dig graves.
They're
It's a wonder they
easily
don't get
good.
jobs.
Pickaxes. But so, Francis, you mentioned in another one of your unhappy hours about the possibility of maybe doing DNA soil testing.
Mhm.
But one of the concerns that I would have is that DNA can be in human spit, it can be in urine, it could
Sewage.
be sewage and
Mm.
feces. So just simply doing a soil
Yeah.
analysis.
And then as well, you wouldn't, if you got nothing from the DNA analysis from the soil sample, it could be somewhere else.
Yeah.
So you've got to, like, that whole survey area that she did, Sarah Bollier, has got to be excavated.
Mm-hmm. And the bones would most likely be preserved because it's a dry desert area,
Yeah.
clay.
Well,
Is
Mays
it
House
clay?
says it's got a clay layer, but my geoscience.
Clay would be preserving though, right?
But clay, there's no evidence of a clay layer in
Okay.
Kamloops. He said, and he sent me the soil typology for Kamloops is that it's very dry and there's no evidence of a clay layer. And the archaeology that was done in 2002 by George Nicholas of the Simon Fraser Archaeology Department never mentioned any clay layer.
Maybe that's
What's
not
the difference between like, what
scientifically accurate.
does it matter if there's a clay layer? or not?
Because
Yeah.
Mays Howe was arguing that the clay layer would create moisture that would then result in it being more likely that the bones would disintegrate
Yeah.
because of the moisture. So if there's no clay layer, you wouldn't have the moisture.
How much time are we talking about here? Because it takes a long time for
Right.
bones to deteriorate.
How long
If
is
it's
it?
really wet, it's not that long. So Cooper Island, which is on off of Vancouver Island, rains a lot on Cooper Island. It's
Mhm.
like it's known for its rain. They tried to find they were looking for evidence of remains in Cooper Island, and they didn't find any. And the conclusion was, well, although we didn't find any remains, it's very, very wet soil, and so the
Oh
remains
yeah,
could deteriorate.
whatever division of science it is that studies that would know how long it takes for bones to disintegrate into
Right.
nothing.
Yeah.
Well,
They would say, "Oh yeah, that was last week. It's gone now."
they would have forensic scientists that would probably be able to answer. these
yeah, but
questions.
For
it's
sure.
a general thing.
My suggestion as a non-scientist is that it take a long time.
Not in really, really wet
Oh, no,
conditions.
fossilized. Yeah,
But
how
that's
much-
dry conditions. No, in Cooper,
I
there's
get the
50
point.
years. So Cooper Island, just the Cooper Island case, it was 70 years ago that it was claimed that the bodies would be buried there. 70 years.
And does 70 years seem to be a long time for you in this context or short? To me, it's short.
Well, you're thinking about archaeology of when they dig up an archaeological site and they find a skeleton there.
I think of underwater things too. I don't know. I can't.
Well, I don't think you think skeletons underwater are not going to last a long time.
Well, because
How long is a skeleton going to
because
last
of-
underwater?
because
How
there are
long?
other other animals under there
Yeah.
taking care of it.
But they're not.
But
Well, yeah, there'd be a lot of
What
bugs in
about
them.
salt water, highly mineralized water? Like in a cave, the skeletons become crystallized.
So, but Cooper Island, the claim was, as the RCMP were saying, we didn't find any remains, but it's very damp conditions, so we can't rule out the possibility. There could have been remains here, and they could have, disintegrated within 70 years.
What we need is some really truly scientific analysis.
Someone look up an
to see
AI.
how long does it
Just do an
take.
AI check.
How long does it take a shin bone to disintegrate?
Mom's tibia.
Yeah. How long does
tibia are a little longer.
How long does it take Albert's mother's tibia to disintegrate in wet conditions versus dry conditions?
My mother? Why
See,
my mother?
This is what we do. We joke about our dead parents and everything like that. Like that's totally okay. Like within our culture. Some people are very offended by that. I don't know. Like the whole thing about all this Aboriginal concerns about the ancestors and stuff. I think that's just rent seeking that's going on. I don't think that it was a major preoccupation before the lawyers went onto the reserves and started doing all this bullshit that they did in the.
Want an ice cube in that?
Oh, I got one. It's melted.
Oh, you
down.
do? Okay.
Thanks. Woo.
Gary.
Gary. Okay, back to the questions. I'm just going to try and pick out the ones that are the most, 00 Rice says, there is no, there is a question. There is no statute of limitations on murder. Shouldn't they be trying to find the murderers? Some could still be alive to be charged. Exactly. And they said several times during that AFN press conference, this was a crime scene.
Right.
It was said at least twice, and it might have been said more, but it was said by Monias. Monias said crime scene, and then someone else said it. And Casimir has said it. She said it on the Fifth Estate documentary. So if it's a crime scene, that means that there's a perpetrator of the crime. We need to investigate to find out who the perpetrator of the crime was.
Right. If there's real victims, they deserve swift justice. And if there's people being accused, they deserve to be exonerated if they're not guilty.
And like lots of Brother Murphy and Kamloops, like his name has been bandied about by Billy Coons and stuff. Like there's people who worked in the schools. Actually, 3 Aboriginal teachers worked in the school at Kamloops, which was Anna Sewell. The guy who's the chief of the Hope. Actually, his son is an activist at Thompson Rivers University. I can't remember his name now. I'm not gonna remember all these obscure names. But anyway, there's 3 there, and one is a famous son became a famous painter, Paul.
Famous what?
Famous painter.
Painter.
Yeah, Paul was last name. So we know 3 of the teachers that were in Kamloops, and you can see them in The Eyes of Children. For people who haven't watched The Eyes of Children, which is the CBC documentary done in 1962 about the Kamloops Senior Residential School, you can see the 3 teachers there that are teaching the children. One's in the shop class, one's in the guy.
What are their academic qualifications?
They went to normal school of for teaching. Like they got their graduate. They got
their teacher certificates somewhere online.
Yeah. So in those days,
there's got to be something there. I know I don't have it, and I've taught a lot.
Well,
and I shouldn't have been able to.
They might have.
And I have the qualifications.
They might have lowered the standards in this instance. I don't know, but they wanted to get the Aboriginal teachers in teaching the students in this school.
Yeah.
What is it called when you are?
That's racist.
When you become privy of a crime, but then you don't disclose it, and then you
aiding and abetting kind of thing.
Aiding and abetting, yeah. So how many people would have had to have been silent for this to have occurred?
Exactly. Well, the whole thing is incredibly improbable. And the other piece of evidence is, just one sec, the other piece of evidence is, in the 1990s, there was a 6-year RCMP investigation that was done by Jerry Peters. He was the lead investigator. Simon and I interviewed him in Prince George. And Charlene Bellew Don't forget Charlene Bell. She was the liaison. She's the one who said that she wished that people would drag me into the basement of the Kamloops Senior Residential School and rape me, so that I would understand what all the kids had to go through in the Kamloops Senior Residential School.
You can see her point.
Well, like I would have a better understanding of rape if I were actually raped.
No, I don't agree. She's saying it.
No, but I
I
think
only see her point.
I don't know. If you're raped, do you understand rape more than if you're not raped? Uh-oh. Someone's just ringing. I have no idea. But this was her point that she was making. Everyone kind of, in my view, started saying she was threatening me and so on. But she wasn't threatening me. She was just.
Is that Diane?
Who knows?
We can get it if you want it.
I have to check the messages. 6:11. Now my train of thought was disrupted here because of all these different things going on. Anyway, I'll have to come back to that. This was about the teachers at the Kamloops Senior Residential School. Anyway, forget it. We'll move on. We'll move on because I'll remember it when it comes to me.
Well, it reminds me of something. I don't want to interrupt this, but one of the problems when I was dealing with it in the north was all of the reasons why Aboriginal kids don't do well in school. First of all, their dropout factor, they all drop out by grade 7. But what is it that's doing that? Well, one of the things is the demand. These people don't know about these teachers who aren't native because they don't know them. Well, we're not supposed to know our teachers.
Right.
But these kids, they can't go to school because they don't know. So their aunt is going to teach. Their aunt went to grade 6. She's going to teach them in school now because she's native. And this is the Aboriginal industry that is doing this. The Aboriginal industry's ultimate result is that keep native people totally dependent on us. Because that's what the industry's for.
Right. So on the reservation, what kind of education are the Indigenous children getting? Are they getting an education where they would?
No, it's terrible.
Do they understand the scientific method?
No. And they can't show up. The biggest problem in Aboriginal culture, which there was a labor historian, he didn't talk about Aboriginal people, but he talked about the difficulties that humanity has had in making the transition from feudalism to capitalism, was the ability to work by the clock.
Well, actually, it's tribalism.
No, that's another, but I'm talking about the problem of being able to work by the clock. This is a problem for all people, all humanity. It wasn't an Aboriginal problem. No, it's a human problem because before capitalism, people worked by the task.
Not capitalism, civilization.
No, it wasn't always civilization. You work by the clock.
Civilization is determined by having laws.
Yes, but not by working by the clock. Civilization was not determined by working by the clock.
Well, no.
Okay, but I'm talking about working by the clock. It's a huge problem. It was Thompson, the labor historian Thompson, talked about work discipline and working by the clock. Capitalism brought working by the clock into existence.
Yeah.
Wage labor. You come to a job, you do it for 8 hours, and you just make as many things as you do for 8 hours.
Because you sold your labor.
And that is very alienating for people to do that. It doesn't come easy because you're used to working by the task. You finish this thing, now you move on to the next task.
Not only that, but you finish it, it belongs to you.
Yeah, well,
you sell it to your employer.
Yes, so you're a petty bourgeois.
You sell your labor.
Yeah.
So whatever you produce never belongs to you.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Anyway, Aboriginal people, because they come from a subsistence background, if they are still in that culture, find it very difficult to work by the clock. And that makes them uncompetitive with other laborers in the competitive labor market. And that's a huge problem.
Yeah. It's not absolute, though.
No.
Some native people turn up early.
Exactly.
So obviously there's a cultural thing here.
It's the culture.
That has to be overcome.
It's a culture.
So all you have to do is say, if you're late, there has to be some negative punishment if you don't have your dock pay or something.
Or you can't be beaten. You get criticized by you get your boss telling you you can't show up.
Being criticized by management is fuck that. Who care? I would never care.
It
about
would
that.
be good though to be able to just be paid by the task. You have this task, I need it done by this deadline,
Yep.
and you
It's
show
less
up.
alienating. Less
Yeah,
alienating.
show up when
But
you
it's hard
want.
to do coordinated
Yeah, but
labor.
you can't
You
organize.
can't do a coordinated labor on that way.
You
You
can't
have to-
organize.
Everyone's got to
a
come
factory
together
like
for this
that.
time. Yeah.
The factory, right?
Yeah. Well,
Everybody-
more efficient
You have
forms
to
of labor.
coordinate. Like, think of it as a production line. One guy puts a screw in here, this guy tightens it, moves along, and they time it. So they can see how far apart to make you end up with a Ford coming off the end every 10 minutes.
Mhm.
You know, it's not because it makes 10 minutes to make a Ford. It took hours, but they're 10 minutes apart.
Mhm.
So they start 10 minutes later. You know, the guy puts the bumper on. 10 minutes later, there's another bumper on, that sort of thing. It goes on.
Mhm.
That's how it works.
So modern
That's
schools,
actually Fordism.
modern school system was built around, I suppose, the Industrial Revolution. Some people say the Prussian system, which is also military. So either getting kids into the military or getting kids into the factories
Yeah.
as adults, or earlier in the Industrial Revolution with child labor.
Yeah.
And you know, sitting in the desk all day. They're like little penitentiaries with the bell ringing. I'm not a fan of residential schools for that. I don't like kids having to sit in desks for 8 hours a day. Myself.
Well, you need a discipline.
But that's not.
But you can do
You
that.
can't blame that on residential schools.
No, it's
That was
everywhere.
the
No,
educational
it's
system.
everywhere. Yeah, I don't like any.
That's part of the work discipline. It's
But
part of
what
the
what
discipline
about
process.
residential schools were a very, very positive thing. They were there to educate
But
uneducated
the system
people.
itself, right? Like
The problem was they turned it over to the churches.
right, but all of the whole school system. It'd be better if it was goal oriented. I think. You know.
Or like Montessori.
Okay, yeah,
Montessori.
I was meaning to mention this to you anyway, because some time ago we had a discussion about homeschooling, and I'm against homeschooling.
Albert's opposed to
I'm against
homeschooling.
homeschooling generally. Then I saw an example of it, and I realized that it can be overcome. The point is that not everybody's going to do that.
Mm-mm.
No,
Now,
you're
would
doing
you
it,
oppose?
but nobody else. What about all the people who are teaching their kids, what's really right about God?
Right.
We can't stop them.
So, question: if you were to live in Nazi Germany, and all the kids going to school were being indoctrinated with Hitler Youth ideas, would you be opposed to homeschooling?
Well, those are two different questions.
Well, let's say it's an option. Would you? Let's say
Well,
homeschooling was
what
allowed.
difference would homeschooling make?
Well, if let's say you could try and keep your kids away from the
Yeah, but the
not.
parents might be fascists.
But let's say the parents are not. Let's say they're keeping their
That's
kids.
the only way they can shield their children from the Nazi ideology is to homeschool their children.
Yeah, but
Would you be opposed to
first of all,
homeschooling then?
was that the case in
Well, there's no
In
homeschooling in Nazi Germany.
No, there's no. I don't.
It's
think
like you were forced into. That's the thing that you would do if you had a totalitarian regime, is you wouldn't be able to homeschool your children.
No, well, I'm generally against.
I am generally
homeschooling.
against it too, just
Yeah.
because I think it allows.
It has unqualified people teaching.
Well, you
That's what it
you
has.
abandon the people belonging to, problematic households that are not teaching critical thinking. Now the problem is the school system. I'm not saying the school system, and we're not changing the school system.
The school system comes under our social politics.
Yeah.
We determine who gets in what pool, what our schools do, and so on. So we can that emanates from the public generally, and generally we have a pretty good idea of it. We're getting out. Look what's happening in Quebec. They booted Catholicism out of the schools. You don't have. We used to call that French and English schools. French was Catholic.
Do you think it would ever become obsolete in the age of information
Why?
and with AI? Because AI,
What would be obsolete?
the regular school system. Do you think it'd ever become obsolete?
No.
No.
Quite the opposite. I think the regular school system is one that our society determines that what can happen and what can happen. You don't want people deciding, oh, that's all bullshit. Well, I'm going to teach them my own. It's about God, and it's about you better do this all the time.
Or you're going to
No,
burn in
that's
hell
it.
forever.
But there's schools that teach that too.
Yeah, but the thing is that as a society, so from a perspective of one human being to another, it's disturbing to think of children being abandoned to the whims of abusive parents in their school. Now, some parents do a really good job of the homeschooling, but some parents do a terrible job of the homeschooling.
But there's abusive teachers.
But
right?
we
There's
can
a
deal with
risk.
the teachers, though. We
Yeah,
have
but
we have
those are-
we have
Wait a
control of the
minute.
teachers.
What about abusive teachers? Abusive teachers are abusing all of public. So we all the public should do something about it. Not,
Right.
I'm getting my kids out of this. Fuck the others. You can all be abused, but my kids are going to be taught.
Well, you can only have
and you're doing that.
you can only have responsibility for your own children. You can't necessarily take responsibility for
Well,
everyone.
we have social responsibilities too.
For sure.
I mean, I can't say, oh, it's okay that that guy beats his wife. I'm not beating my wife.
No.
That'd be okay, right?
Well, that's why there's reporting mechanisms too. Like if you even within whatever homeschooling, non-homeschooling, or anything, if you feel like someone is abusive towards their children, you can report that and get an investigation going. So
That's a problem though, because it's very difficult to get over that line. Like I've known a number of grade school teachers, and they have seen that, but they go to the school nurse. School nurse says, I'll think about it, and that goes away because they don't want to do what first of all, what can you do under our system? People are being abused, kids that are being abused at home. What do you do? Who do you call? The police? And it's cultural.
well, yeah, you should call the police, but you
Well,
know
what are you going to tell the police?
the truth.
This kid told me that she gets
Yeah,
spanked.
you just
Do you think the police are going to say, I better go and see their house? Of course not. Police will never. Police are concerned with crimes.
that is a crime, isn't it, to abuse your child?
To spank
What?
them is not, I don't think. I
No,
think it's
Spanking
so-
children, I don't think it's a crime.
No, it's
No,
not.
but
But it should be.
What the,
that's a whole other debate.
No
That's a
spanking.
whole other debate.
You don't want to teach people how to do
stick and
things.
spoil the child.
You
I
don't
know
want
I
to
got
teach
beaten
people
a
how
lot,
to live
it
in the
didn't hurt
world
me.
by making them afraid. You have to reason
So
with
if
them.
you-
You do Super Nanny. Watch Super Nanny.
So
Super
for
Nanny has a down pat.
Okay,
She
so
knows what it's all
let's say
about.
you have a kid
Yep.
who's really interested in the electrical socket.
Yep.
And no matter what you do, no matter how many little
Yep.
things you put in there.
Beat the shit out of them.
No.
Beat
but
the fucking
let's say-
shit out of
let's
them.
say
Then
you
you'll
leave
learn.
What she's
But
saying
what
is
about,
wrong.
what about a little?
Yes,
a
it
little-
does matter what you put in there because those things work.
Okay, but let's say they're continually obsessed with the electric sockets
Yeah.
and they're peeling the things off and they're trying to put things in there all the
Yeah.
time and they try and put their fingers in there. What about a little? And then they never do it again.
No, you
This
remove them. You
This
remove
is,
them. from the
this is
situation.
Danielle's
Remove the
argument.
situation.
How-
What are we teaching the
But the
child?
outlets are everywhere.
No, but you have to
What
watch
Kathy,
your
what are we
child and
teaching
not
the
allow
child
them
when
to
we do that?
What if you're having a shower or a shit?
You have to.
No,
They
Really?
need to know.
No, but that's
Little
like
bit.
slapping them. is
Francis
not the
never
way you
had
need to know.
children. No,
No, I didn't. But
What are we teaching them if we do that?
you absolutely last
Obedience.
resort as a little bit.
We are teaching them obedience.
You want to avoid it. I
They have
agree, you
no
want to avoid
idea.
it.
About it. They don't understand electricity, right? They're 2
Right.
years old. So all they know is when they do this, they get hit.
If someone's kid was continually running out into traffic and thought it was funny and they gave the kid a swat on the ass, I wouldn't judge them.
No,
Wouldn't
we're
judge
not-
them.
The issue is not whether we're protecting them from being executed. We're talking about the child's relationship here.
Mhm.
The child doesn't understand when we do that, and if they don't understand, we are making them respond to something that they don't have to understand it. They just have to be afraid.
Mhm.
Well, that's
Well-
a terrible thing to teach a child.
Well,
Children should always be taught to question everything.
yeah, but
They should seek truth.
if it's in a I was watching this on Super Nanny where this kid kept running out into the street over and over and he thought it was funny. He knew what he was doing. He knew it freaked everybody out. Cars are swerving. His mom has to grab him all the time or put him on a leash, and nothing was working. Nothing was working at all. And I was just thinking, like, if I saw that mom swat that kid on the ass, I would just walk the other way. I wouldn't judge that. At that point, it's like, buddy, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I
the
could be
point
wrong.
Point is here that we're preoccupied with stopping them to having these dangerous activities like running into the street and so on.
Mhm.
If a child is running into the street recklessly because they're too young to know any better, they're not going to do that when they're
This kid
10.
knew he
They're
was
not going
old
to do it when
enough.
they're 10 years old, are they?
No, well, but this kid, I don't know. There's something
What
mentally.
does Super Nanny do?
Would Super Nanny do?
She
The
wouldn't
problem
have-
wasn't solved. It went on to.
She just did a she. That's the
She
thing.
just-
You gotta be, first of all, you gotta be straight. I think children, and I'm just being an observer.
Mhm.
Children understand when you're being straight with them and when you're not being straight with them.
Oh,
And if you're
absolutely.
straight with them, then they can trust you.
Mhm.
But if you're manipulating them and lying to them all the time, then they're just not gonna. And often these parents that Super Nanny is dealing with are these people who are just telling them everything their kids all.
Right. Right.
So
Well,
that comes-
I don't believe it was solved. I don't think the kid stopped jumping out into traffic. That Super Nanny would just keep going to the curb with the kid
Yeah.
and trying
But
to.
there's two different
get him
things
to-
here. There's defense defense or against harm, and there is the relationships with the child. Those are two different things.
Mhm.
And we have to, if we want to have a child not do dangerous things,
Mhm.
then we have to have the child
Or take
understand.
calculated risks, proper calculated risk.
Yeah, but
Understand.
sometimes they're too young.
Yes.
Oh, that's obviously 2-year-old.
No.
Let him off, man. He's gone.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and so we can't allow a 2-year-old. You can't reason with him. We have to watch him, and when he heads there, we pick him up and bring him back, right? But saying to him, "Don't do that, you bad boy," he has no fucking idea what you're talking about.
No.
All he knows is you're threatening him,
Mhm.
and he should respond to threats.
Mhm.
So we've got a human being here who's dealing with what he's afraid of all the time and what he should or shouldn't do. We should be bringing people up to make judgments, and as soon as possible, as soon as they're I find 2 years old, they start to change a little bit. They start to become reasonable.
Mhm.
Before that, they're baby. They have no idea what's going on. But there's a period there, and I think it's important that we identify that period and encourage it, rather than saying, "Oh, it's just a kid," you know.
Well,
like
this
that.
kid was in the Super Nanny. He was quite old, and I was trying to
Like
also.
how old?
I think it was between 5 and 7.
Oh yeah.
And I was trying to figure out what psychologically would lead to a kid needing that much negative attention. Is he just completely emotionally neglected and never played with?
I think you
So-
just hit it. Sure. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
He's
It's,
not getting enough good attention, so he gets bad attention.
Right, so might as well make a big scene and
I think children should grow up from babyhood only experiencing positive things.
Mhm.
So they develop and look forward to the next stage and so on. And when, of course, they do encounter negative things that are stopping that, that should be dealt with in a manner that says we should overcome this, not we should succumb to it.
Mhm.
If you get slapped, then do as you're told, and you won't get slapped anymore. How about that?
So that's what they did
How
in the
about Hitler?
residential schools, right? Like, did they used the
Oh.
belt back in the day
Yeah,
in the school
yeah.
system, right?
Yeah.
And indigenous people
But
didn't
you can't use punishment to make children behave in a rational manner, because it's not because of punishment that they're doing it. They don't
But
understand.
I think it's because of efficiency as well. It's like they need, they don't. If you have all these kids and you don't have enough staff,
Yeah.
for them back in that time, it was like, I just need you in line. I just need you to. I'm not trying to make excuses
Yeah,
for
no,
it.
it's interesting.
I totally oppose the belt, and that's
You know,
what I,
I used to be a supply teacher, and that meant that I would get called every morning, fill in grade 7, grade 9. And I found that I was getting a lot of higher grades. And when I observed it, that the supply teachers who were female were getting all the lower grades. And so I approached them about this right away. I said, "What are we telling children here when as they get into higher grades, they get male teachers. You're saying that's the sophistication. Becoming a man is the, and so they changed. They made. I immediately started getting kindergarten all the time, which I didn't mind because I really find that development period really, really interesting. You could see if you teach kindergarten. I don't know if you've ever done it, but some kids come up to you and treat you like their parents. Other kids come up to you and teach you like a newcomer. And you're there, and you're standing there, this kid comes up and holds your hand. He doesn't know you or anything. He just knows you got a beard and you look like his grandfather, and I'll plug into that, you know. But he's not learning anything from that.
So, breaking news for people who don't know this. So, Robert Fife, who I knew he was a bigwig journalist, but he served as Ottawa bureau chief for the Globe and Mail.
I know of him.
He believes that 215 children are buried in the Kamloops apple orchard.
So what?
That's shocking.
No, we shouldn't give, because of his status as Robert Fife, the journalist, that doesn't make him right.
No, but it gives you a bit of a
Be vigilant.
Well, let's check. What else about him? Is he a Catholic? Is he religious?
All
Is
I'm
he
saying
irrational?
is it's like, I expect, what's his face, Garrison Settee and all these jokers to believe in this. But I don't expect one of the head of the Ottawa Bureau, after all that's been discussed over the last 5 years, to believe that this has validity to it, this claim. It's like finding out someone believes in UFOs or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
It's like this just shows you the stranglehold that this has about this kind of stuff, right? And I'm amazed. Anyway, he was just interviewed by Aaron Pete. I got to watch it. I got to clip that
Well,
segment.
there's another, the thing that I thought of before, but it was interrupted, is the idea that we must always respect older people's views. You don't, and native culture says you never contradict an elder.
Mm-hmm.
An elder tells you he can fly, he can fly.
Yep.
That shows you how backward native culture is.
Yeah.
So why do you think we shouldn't automatically respect an elder's view? Isn't it?
We have, their view. There's no reason to respect their view in the first place. We should respect everybody's view once we put it up to standards of
Scrutiny.
Right. Evidence for a start.
Mm-hmm.
But we shouldn't. I mean, what happens? And I saw this happening a little bit in my relationship with Francis's father, late father, and he was a scientist, an intellectual person, and people started treating him as an old person. I never found him to be an old person. I found him to slinking into shit that I wouldn't let him do. Intellectually, we were compatible. I don't think your father disliked me. Your mother didn't like me. But
Your mother didn't like Albert?
My mother.
As a matter of fact, we admired one another's.
Yeah. No, my father. My father enjoyed
I
talking.
wouldn't let I would always sit on the right side because he was deaf on the left, right? And he wouldn't turn up his all way of escaping. And the most common word your father ever said was, "What?" And you should have seen the family. It all came to me once when Francis' sister Catherine, and she did it, and I realized this is a Widdowson cultural thing. You start saying something, and then you go like that, right? And who do you think they say? Because they can't read your lips and everything. They say, "What?" How often did your father say what? He said it all the time, right? Because people did it. And it was one time when your sister did it, and it was like acting.
We're just going to air all the dirty laundry.
I know.
She got up and she started talking. And then as she went out, she said something over her shoulder, which I didn't quite get. And
Oh, no.
And your father said, "What?" No, No shit. I'm saying what too, but you're doing it.
Hey, you didn't answer my question, Albert. If you were in Nazi Germany and you had the option to homeschool your kids, would you?
Okay, I have to think of myself being in Nazi Germany. Now, am I in Nazi Germany as a Nazi?
No,
As you,
you're an opponent
as you,
of the Nazis.
you are.
I'm a
You're
leftist.
just
You're the
you.
resistance.
I'm a Marxist.
You're part of the resistance.
You're whatever you are, Albert.
I am a Marxist.
There you go.
There's no Marxist.
So am I going
See,
to
everyone's
change?
irrational in some way, right?
What?
Kathy is saying Marxism is irrational.
I think it's irrational.
Marxism is the only rational.
I think capitalism is the only rational route.
How can that be rational? It's based on competition.
Freedom. The risk is worth the freedom. That's the whole
Freedom
point.
to exploit somebody else.
Right.
Oh boy,
But everything comes
I'm
with
bigger than
risk.
you. I am free to punch you in the face. Oh yeah, that's me.
But no one should decide other people's risk for them, right? So
No,
if you
we don't do that. We're a society. We're not a bunch of individuals trying to get ahead.
right,
Oh, we are certainly under capitalism. There's a whole lot of people who have that attitude.
right.
I want to get ahead. Ahead of what?
Okay, people.
They
I'm
wanna
going to
get
stop.
ahead of me.
I'm putting as a moderator of this unhappy hour. I'm stopping this. You
What's
have to
the
listen
happy
to
hour?
what-
Oh, we're talking about.
Unhappy hour.
We're still on the
We've got to. People are here because they want to hear about like the unmarked graves and the.
They're still here.
Yeah, they're still here. They're listening to Albert get into some of the Widdowson, deep and dark Widdowson family secrets, and all the various, kind of conflicts that existed, and so on and so forth. Which is fine. Like, there's nothing that can't be talked about. But it's just kind of boring for people who don't, not really part of the story. But I just want to say I'm really glad to see that Be Vigilant is back. Welcome, and hopefully there'll be, like, we can have a few boomer jokes and no one's going to get too upset about it. And then Daniel Sparkling Eyes. You don't want to get on the naughty spot, so you're going to be just.
Is he the snake handler?
No, that's
No.
Ryan. Ryan from Lethbridge. Ryan from Lethbridge is the snake handler, the rattlesnake
Oh,
handler.
Daniel Sparkling.
Somebody's a
You
snake
interviewed
Yeah, he's a
Sparkling
snake
Eyes, though, right? You had him on a podcast.
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Yeah. He's
I-
was a finance.
I
guy.
enjoyed
How
that
do you
one.
become a snake handler?
You learn all the ways of the
Oh, I know
rattlesnakes.
that, but why do you?
Well, you get paid to remove snakes from various locations.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, he spends a lot of time with. He
That
does.
should just be a division of the Humane Society.
Well, it's more.
I know how you do it. You have this long thing with a hook on it, and you hook the snake,
Yeah,
put it in the bag.
it's pest.
See?
It's kind of pest
I went to
control.
snake school.
Yeah, pest. It's a bit like vermin. Dealing with vermin and snakes are one kind of.
But he locates them. He doesn't kill them.
No, he doesn't kill them. No. So he
So
catches
there's a
the snakes.
conservation
Yeah, it's
aspect to it.
conservation. It's wild. The rattlesnakes are wild.
It's to avoid
Not like rats.
human wildlife conflicts.
And rats, and it's like, should you kill the rats or should you relocate the rats to another
You
location?
should give them birth control. That's what I think. Give the rats birth control.
You don't relocate the rats. This is not a good. It's not a good strategy
I
for
had
the
a
rat
pet
problem.
rat. They're very smart.
I know they are. I had pet rats too. Well, my
Aw.
mother did.
Ooh.
Yes,
Your mother did what?
had pet rats.
Oh, how many did you have?
4. They were.
Aw.
We had these really bizarre names for them
Were
too.
they the what do you call it? Brown rat?
No, they were lab rats.
White rat.
Yeah, they're spotted. They were. My dad was. They came from the university. Like they were going to kill them, but we
But
said
the
no,
rat-
don't kill them.
But
Well, adult-
rats they aren't very distinct from one another. Different groups.
Mm.
There's the brown, I think, Norway rat,
Mm,
which is the common
Yeah.
sewer rat,
yeah.
and some hippies got them and tamed a couple. They were easy to tame. First of all, they're very intelligent.
But the names of 2 of them were Wolfgang and Azolda. Anyway, it's another
Azolda.
Azolda. Because Azolda was a friend of the family who hated rats. So he called the rat Azolda.
And Wolfgang, is there a band with Wolfgang? Or is
I don't
it
know
a
where
music-
what's a German name, right? Like, isn't it Mozart, right? His first name is Wolfgang. Oh, Amadeus, but there's
Amadeus.
who is Wolfgang?
Well, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart.
Was it Wolfgang? Is his first
That's
name?
Mozart's name?
Yeah.
Wolfgang Amadeus.
It was Wolfgang, right? First name.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. I thought Amadeus, but it was a second middle
Well,
name.
his middle name only came out when the movie came out, because before that he was just referred to as Wolfgang Amadeus. Wolfgang Mozart.
Yeah. Albert was made all the drinks. That was great. That was a great relief, not to be having to do, multitask.
That's on there.
Everyone's comment this is a long time ago because I couldn't keep up with the chat because of all the hubbub.
Excuse me.
And
Someone said, if you're going to murder kids, you won't keep records.
yes, exactly. So the archives are going to tell you nothing. The archives are going to they are concerned about the burials in cemeteries where the graves are now unmarked and whether there's records of where people are buried in cemeteries. But if it's clandestine burials, there's not going to be any records about it.
Right, but there would still be records of children that went missing.
Yes,
There?
yeah, you would. That would be one thing, and also just children who
There are records of children gone missing?
No.
Well,
there would be
said
if
no.
there were
There
children
would-
gone missing. There
yeah.
would be records.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
of course,
Right.
yeah.
So there wouldn't be death certificates
No.
and
Well, you'd be like you'd have a child like the boys hanging from the beams in the barn. There were 4 boys, according to Audrey Batiste. She was going for lunch one morning. She looked around, and there were these 4 boys hanging from the rafters. And so Gillian Findlay, who was interviewing her, just was going, "There are 4 boys," and she's going, "Yes." It's like, well, does anyone ask any questions about what year that was, and
Or
let's try to get.
How about the logistics of it?
Well,
Where would happen to
names,
those
yeah,
boys?
where-
Okay, you guys
who
line
were
up
they
here,
and
we're
what
gonna
school?
hang
Who was
you
the
one at a
teacher?
time.
Where was this? But Gillian Findlay just accepted this as a fact.
But what about destroying records that the child even ever existed
Mm.
down the memory
Yeah,
hole?
yeah.
Is that a-
Yeah, well, it would have to be very well planned, so that's the thing about historical records is that they often exist for purposes other than creating history. So you've got birth records, and this is done as part of a bureaucratic thing. You've got death records. You've got all sorts of other things.
That's the same thing.
And a historian, you piece together. So if there's a child who has a birth record and he was enrolled in the school, but the next records about children leaving the school or anything, there's no mention of him anymore. What happened to?
Because they don't know.
But that's kind of
You
an
can't
odd
record
thing.
things you
If
can't
everyone's
know.
got a record, there's Joey DeJarlais or whatever his name is. He comes into the school, and then there's no other mention of him ever again. Not in the dismissal, not in the
Exactly,
whatever.
yeah,
So
yeah.
what happened to Joey DeJarlais? Did he just disappear? Or is it just a
Well, wait
records
a minute.
that
Absence of-
documented him?
Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence.
Yeah, but
So-
it'd be a question that you could maybe start to pose, what happened to Joey DeJarlais?
Yeah, that's a question.
But there's no one ever mentioned that Joey DeJarlais went missing. There was no one reported him to the
Well,
police.
what
or
about
whatever.
what about the missing women? Or what do they call it? It's not missing and
murdered and missing Indigenous women and children?
Yeah.
So what about all
yeah.
these missing women, mostly Native, who disappeared from their communities and nobody knows where they are or whatever, right? Are we're not going to put that in any kind of context, right? What do you think they did? Do you think they went out and got jobs as a lawyer or an economist? No, they went out and got jobs as prostitutes because that's the only way they could eat. And if you want to be a prostitute, you better go to Toronto and Montreal. So they left. Do you think somebody was keeping track of all these Native women? No, they just disappeared.
We pissed off a Catholic. I'm sorry.
Prostitution is one of the most dangerous professions in the world.
Yes.
You
Wait, yeah,
rent
that's a
rent yourself
confounding
out.
variable right there,
You know?
right?
How do people
Or
treat
co-founding
a
variable. It's not
rented
confound-
car?
Co-founding variable.
Yeah. No, I think all religions are fair game. All ideologies, whatever. People take it, go after Marxism and stuff like that. I'm sure Albert, would be happy to, spar with you about these matters.
Going after Marxism is a typical
So
capitalist ploy.
if we shouldn't manipulate our
Capitalism is the
children,
biggest problem we've got.
Francis, do you think that we should abolish teaching children about Santa Claus and
Yes.
doing that ritual?
Yes, get rid of Santa Claus.
Really?
Oh yeah, that's a terrible thing. Santa
Oh
Claus.
no.
Yeah,
Really? Because I thought it was a kind of
it's like you better be good or you're not gonna get your gifts. Like,
Right,
That's the
yeah.
whole thing about Santa Claus.
and then
what does he knows that you're naughty or nice, and that's
But-
terrible.
but this
what,
this
what do you mean
built-in
by get rid of it? We can't. We
Well,
can't.
you tell the children
can-
that
it
you're.
only-
Tell the children
It's
the
a myth.
truth.
It's a myth.
tell it okay,
Yeah, but it can only be discharged.
but it's fun.
Culturally.
It's fun. And
Yeah, but
then
eventually we won't do it anymore.
but if you eventually when the kids have to figure out that Santa Claus isn't real, and all of a sudden they realize that everything's been a lie, everything that they thought was so wonderful and enthusiastic, they get these stockings and everything, and they thought it was real. Is that not like a critical thinking rite of passage?
Right. Yeah.
It's like you stop believing in Santa Claus, and then you're like, oh, what about
Mhm.
what else could be a lie?
Well,
I feel like it's a built-in like
Well,
I
culture.
grew up in
Yeah.
a family atheists on both sides, so we were struck by that. But my mother told me right off the bat that Santa Claus was a myth.
But haven't Europeans, even the pagans, been doing some form of this with their children
Imagine
for a long
what they
time,
say.
like pretending that there's a
You have to behave this way, or Santa Claus won't bring you something.
But the-
What a controlling factor!
Mm.
It's like religion. Religion controls you by saying, "If you're bad, this will happen."
You go to bed earlier, Santa Claus isn't coming. Like,
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
you manipulate your children?
Well, we used to have the
Yeah,
we used to put out the cookies and the sherry for Santa, my sister and I, and then my father would eat the cookies and and drink the sherry. And then there was a big joke. It's a big joke afterwards. But my sister and I truly believed that Santa was coming down the chimney.
I think
and
that's
was
great.
drinking.
I love it. I have no problem. You have to manipulate.
I
children.
harbored great
No, you don't
resentments.
have.
Yes,
I,
you do.
I was
Never,
like, my
ever.
parents lied. They
Absolutely.
lied to
Never,
me. They
ever
lied to
have
me.
to manipulate.
Okay, I'll tell you
anything.
how you manipulate children. For example,
You don't have to
Yeah,
manipulate children.
if you
You
want,
have to be true to them.
no. If you want your kid to drink some milk, let's say, you can say, you don't ask them if they want milk. You can ask them, do you want the red or the yellow cup? And then they get excited about the cup and they drink their milk. And you manipulated them. I was taught this in babysitting class. There was a whole section on child psychology and how
What
to
if you don't
manipulate
do
children.
that and they drink their milk?
Well, then you're lucky. But if they're not going to drink the milk and you want them to, they're dehydrated, they need some milk, they need some calcium.
No. We just first of all, we know that all children are going to drink milk.
What about the vegetables? If you say, would you rather have broccoli or
Well,
asparagus?
no,
And you give them a
they-
choice between the
they-
two, and they feel like they have a choice.
I
This is
know
manipulation.
you.
They feel like
I know
they
you
have a
kids.
choice.
I know you kids are too young to remember it, but there was a guy named, I forget, Dr. Spock, I think.
Okay,
Anyway,
we're coming
load
up
up.
on an hour and 45 minutes of the unhappy hour. So what do you guys think here? And let me go to the end. Do you guys want unhappy hour to continue? You can just listen to, Albert, Francis, and Kathy, having our
Albert needs his own show.
Well, I can dance.
Now that would be unhappy hour. You want to see unhappy
Oh,
hour? It'd be a
Why
serious
would you
unhappy hour.
say that? Albert needs his own show.
That's what they
You're
said.
saying I'm a show. Oh, somebody said
Someone said that.
Yeah.
No, because they're so amused by your take on everything.
So,
Albert doesn't gloss over any. Doesn't try to make it
I feel
more
like
pleasant, more palatable.
we
right?
skipped over a lot of comments.
I know we did. Like it's just impossible.
Do you guys want more happy hour? You guys got to put in the comments. Do you want more happy hour? I want to read some of the earlier comments.
Okay, let's go ahead. So you just have
How
to.
do you do that?
You just have to just. I should get a mouse. If I got a mouse, I can probably get a mouse and put the mouse on. Because the mouse is easier.
Oh, thank you, Jody Patron. Yeah, let it fly. All right. C9 makes me feel like I'm chatting in China. EB must feel right at home, but he can work some mean chopsticks. Yepper. I find the people who believe the TV news are the ones who believe all the horse shit told to them. The comments do not approve. Do not approve of more happy hour. Yes, keep happy hour going. It's fun. Thank you.
Okay. I suggest we just keep on going if people want it, and we can just get the dinner out. And
I hate Dr. Little Bear.
I know this woman's obsessed with him.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm just gonna. You should just move your thing. I'm gonna
Okay.
put the mouse dongle in. This will be easier to deal with. I'm just getting the mouse.
Do you
Excellent.
address that's a little
Mary,
less
or,
in my eyes?
Francis, do you want to switch seats if you're doing the mouse, or?
You can use it then, Kathy.
Okay.
Okay, so the mouse is working now. We
Excellent.
got the mouse. I'm gonna serve up the stew. I made some chicken stew,
Smells good.
and we can just continue. And people.
Be vigilant. You don't like rats. Signing off. Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
My Snuggles was so sweet. She would greet me when I came home from school, and she would cuddle in my hoodie pocket.
Yeah, like the
Awesome.
rats are very intelligent, but I think there's something slightly grotesque about having rats as pets. Like this.
Well,
It
it's
was
their-
potty. It was.
It's
a
a
litter
role
box.
in the Black Plague.
Well,
It's a bit of-
I
What?
could have done it.
that wasn't their fault, though. That was the.
Fault?
It was
You
their.
got more of a fault with animals?
It was the fleas.
Rats are carriers of disease.
Right.
That's, we
Can they carry
can't
rabies
go more
as well?
blaming them morally. Bad rat, good rat.
Yeah, you got to control their population. Can't be overrun with rats. I'm tired of going to events where chants of Indigenous land acknowledgements and pronouncements of pronouns happen. None of this was happening when I was being schooled in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, this is a big problem. It's divisive. It's everybody's under duress to agree with this. So it's kind of this compelled speech situation where you have to just keep your head down and nod along. And there was a woman who had an outburst, and it was at her daughter's play, and her daughter was taken into child custody for a little bit because of this. She called it race baiting. I believe the lawyer Lisa Bildy through the Free Speech Union is covering this case and representing the defendant or the plaintiff. I don't know if she's suing the school. I think she's suing. She might be the
The
plaintiff.
child was taken into custody?
Yeah, so the whole child services thing too can now be weaponized, including, if you're a non-believer, if you're not affirming a child who believes that they're trans because they got groomed into the. So this is one of the reasons in the school system currently, your child could, in many places, Danielle Smith is trying to stop this with her anti-grooming bill. They can change the name and pronouns of your child without your knowledge or consent. So would that not give you motivation to want to homeschool a little bit? Maybe? If they can change the name.
I told you before, I wasn't against your homeschooling, but
Hey, who says I
that's
do
not
or if
what's
I
happening.
don't? I don't know who's on here.
And your homeschooling is not fair. It leaves the rest of those fucking kids out in the wilderness that you have corrected. You're not sharing. Come on. Oh, you're not sharing. Well, you're not much of a communist.
I don't even know. I don't
I'll
even
tell
know
you
if I
right
have
now.
kids.
I'm sure
Who
you're
are
a
these
communist.
people?
Aren't you?
I am a communist. No, I'm not a communist.
Are you
I
saying
am
you're a
not
communist?
No, I'm a
Okay,
capitalist.
well, you're not. You're
I'm a
definitely not a
capitalist.
communist if you're not doing that.
All of this is for entertainment purposes only.
Communism is about humanity. It's about
Oh, it
everybody.
smells so good.
It's not. It's about the working class of the world.
Oh, I gotta use the.
It's about all the people who produce value. Let's all get together and share it. How do you like that?
There you go, Albert.
Eh? That was enthusiastic. Fucking dead on true.
Well, but it shouldn't be under if someone wants to work more
Hard and
hours.
get ahead of everybody
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
You know what? Fuck them.
Uh-oh. Things are getting out of hand.
No, you're not.
Okay. So we just run out the stew.
fascistic asshole who wants to compete with other people.
This is a chicken
And
stew.
I'm saying,
Wait,
fuck him.
The person who
saying, you
wants
know
to
what?
get a hold is a
The working
fat
class will grab him
Wait,
and sink him.
so you think someone who wants to work hard and get ahead is fascistic?
Yes, I think everybody
he's a
who wants
fascist?
to get ahead
Is a fascist.
fascistic.
Fascistic.
Yeah,
How is that fascist? Isn't that freedom?
because they want to get ahead of
Yeah,
you.
but that's freedom. That's their freedom to do that. It's freedom to.
How can everybody get ahead?
Thank you,
I'm
Francis.
just gonna pour it in.
Well, how can everybody get ahead?
Yeah,
Okay, but the tide can rise all boats, right? So it's better to have a bigger gap between the rich and the poor, but the bottom lifted, as opposed to everyone equally poor.
so what? Everybody moved together though. But the
I don't want to.
relationship didn't change.
I don't want to be held back by other people.
You don't be held back.
Yeah, no.
Back from what?
From mediocrity. If there's people out there that
Oh, so other people are going to be below you.
if they want to be,
No,
or I
people who are below you
might choose
don't want
to
to be.
I might choose to be mediocre or lower. That might be my choice, and then I can suffer the consequences of my choices as an individual,
Oh,
not part of a collective,
what
right?
are you doing?
I just want this to be off the table.
Say what?
I want the computer to be off the table, so if something falls down, it will not have as much chance of just like flying across the keyboard.
Someone says, Albert, get over it. Communism doesn't work. Inequality
tell me it
exists.
doesn't work.
Inequality
God
exists.
damn it,
Accept
we've
it.
tried it and it doesn't work. Let's have capitalism. Capitalism works. That's why a lot of people sleep on the street.
Yep.
Hey Francis, do you like curry? Curried chicken stew is really, really good.
I love chicken. I love curry. Actually, Albert makes a really good lamb curry with coconut milk, and it's a Robert Carrier. For people who don't know about Robert Carrier, who's what is it? The Dishes of the World. Albert is a gourmet cook. For people who don't know this, and he has this. This book. Great Dishes of the World. Anyway, Albert will there's a really good lamb curry recipe in this book that that we used to have quite regular. We'd have it every few months or so. Anyway, that's so yeah, curry is excellent.
Iggy Burnaby says people that believe in Santa believe people can change sex. Well, yeah, you have to it's almost like a psychological, it's like one of the first wounds that you have to endure to get out of childhood. I think it helps pull children out of childhood, maybe.
Yeah, well, it's what was it that film? I think it's called Montenegro, where this child is supposed to be getting a puppy or something like that, and they can't. It turns out it's not going to happen, and they said,
What's that again?
"There's a film called There's a famous scene in this film called I think it's called Montenegro, where the child is promised something and he doesn't get it, and there's this big thing, and the father says, "Life is full of disappointments. It's about time that the child learned that this is what's gonna be like.
Yes,
This is gonna be like this is
a very philosophical movie, and that statement they're citing there, the father, is shows one side to be considered. We should have no ideals. We're just victims of fate.
Yep. Anyway, so I'm gonna take this over here. I can just move this.
Oh, excellent.
Let's move the mouse. Let's see if there's any more burning questions. Just a bit of an impromptu. Okay, so I'm gonna stay away from the right. Janice's last name is Howard. That's funny. Albert Howard and Janice. There's a friend of ours whose name is Janice Howard. I forgot that there was your last name is Howard. Both you have share the same last name.
You know, relative?
Maybe.
Will you?
Do they know?
I don't know. Well, we don't know what Janice's background is, but last name Howard.
Isn't she interested in knowing?
Whether you're
What?
whether you're related.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's find out.
It's only
it's a common
it's
name.
only a curiosity,
It's
but
it's a common name. But I hadn't made that connection because I knew Janice's last name was Howard, and obviously I know your last name is Howard, but I never thought, hey, Janice has the same last name as Albert. That
you
never.
mean Janice, my cousin?
Okay. Where are we
Are
at?
you in communication with her?
Yes.
Oh, ask her who her parents were.
I'll do it in. I'll do it in a.
Well, do the obvious things.
Yeah.
Does she know the famous Albert Howard?
Okay, so someone said they had buckets under their desks and they weren't allowed to stand up. Is that true? What is that? Is that for
This is in the residential schools?
or is it in all boarding schools or schools of that time?
I know that China, with the orphanages, straps the children onto the toilets
Yeah.
because they just don't have the manpower to get the kids up, and so the kids just sit on the toilets all the time. And they tie them on.
And that's absolutely true.
That's crazy. Is that true?
I've
Are
seen
you sure?
it. Yeah.
You've seen it.
Yeah.
Well, it's true. A very close friend of mine adopted one of those children. What else could they do?
I'm skeptical
Don't
of
consider
everything
it.
now. It's
No,
like
no,
I need to see the evidence.
Well, don't be skeptical of me and my friend.
I reserve
I'm-
the
I
right
tell
to
the
remain
truth.
skeptical, Albert.
No. Consider
Now
now
this-
what happens to humans, how they treat one another through the development of our different.
Well, I just recently learned that Iron Maidens, these and some other torture devices,
Mhm.
were fabricated for museums to bring in more people. And
Wow.
I checked it with Grok, and Grok fact checked it and said yes.
Oh,
So I don't know what's true or not.
Well, there is a kind of a well, maybe that was just that's
Yeah.
amazing because I
that
thought that was a Middle Ages kind of thing.
Nonsense. The existing Iron Maidens in museums and stuff, you couldn't live through that. They pierce right through your body.
But they made
It's
them
like-
up.
Maybe
The
they made
claim
them-
is they invented them to bring in the people who were really thrilled by these
The
kinds of
macabre.
torture devices.
yeah.
It was invented so that to bring in the tourists.
But I think there's documentation of being hung, drawn, and quartered, which is quite the thing.
Mhm.
That's where they.
But so what?
Well, the question is, like, if it's true, I don't know. I'm on the neutral mat with respect to the Iron Maiden because I grew up as an Iron Maiden believer, a believer in Iron Maidens, because I'd see an Iron Maiden and say, "Oh, that's a horrible torture device that they would do to people, like put them in this iron thing." And
I'm
then
amazed that you would even be concerned about it.
well, I'm not. I just
You
heard it.
realize the horrors that have occurred through humanity?
Yeah.
Fucking.
But how
Well,
many of
also-
them are true? How do we know
So
if they're true or not? We need evidence.
Yeah, right. So
I
I've
don't need
never.
evidence. I am convinced that horror has occurred, human to human, until as we develop, as we progress.
But how much
Yeah.
actually occurred and how much is just our imaginations?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
horrors.
This is awful.
Well, it's about historical
Right now,
facts.
what we need to do is not harm one another.
I know, but we're talking about history here and getting the facts straight. Right now, because it's part of my tapestry of facts, one of the facts that I thought I had was that there was this thing called an Iron Maiden. It was a torture device that was used. It's a particularly kind of scary one because you imagine yourself being enclosed within a metal thing with a bunch of spikes on and stuff. It's got a very kind of visual kind of reaction. And it turns out possibly that they didn't really exist actually in the Middle Ages. It was something that was invented to create a more personalized way of thinking about torture than would be possible in any other context.
Or engage people like a
But I don't know. Like
sideshow.
I'm neutral because like I don't I it could be true. It might be maybe not true. Like whatever. Like there were. Albert had this book. Oh no, it wasn't. It was Karen. It was Karen's book.
Karen Penland.
Karen Penland's book. So Karen Penland, who was a friend of ours in Yellowknife, had this book on torture. And you take this book and you'd open it.
The funny thing about that, Karen and I are good friends, and I don't know if you knew her, you'd know that this is totally out of her mentality. Why she would even have that book?
Well, it was pretty disturbing to look at the thing. There's some pictures.
I think that's because it's disturbed her so much.
Yeah, I don't know.
It interrupted her,
I don't know why even
her
we were
nature.
but
Because I really understood her really well.
Mm.
And she was a very, very kind person.
no, I think it was just historical interest. Like someone might have given it to her or whatever. But for some reason, you and I were both looking at this book on torture. And there's all these, like there's paintings and so on of people, like a guy who's being hung up by his feet and he's got two people sawing him in half. Now that was a painting.
That's gotta hurt.
And I believe you put it on an invitation to a party, didn't you? Didn't you put that coming? So it was used in a satirical way. Come one, come all to the party that we're having or something like that. This guy being sawn in half. He's up. I don't know if that happened or not. I know that getting the horses to have one leg and one arm and so on, having 4 horses and then having the horses run apart to rip the person from limb to limb, like that. That's what I heard. But maybe that was invented too.
What?
Having the 4 horses tie appendages of a guy and then run in the opposite direction.
Oh. It's not hard.
True or not true?
It's not hard to accept that, though.
But I don't know if it's true or just made up.
Well, why would you make it up?
Just for theatrical kind of license, like
even.
However, it doesn't matter.
Well,
it
matters in the
Human cruelty is something
no,
that
but it matters in the sense of facts matter. Like you don't want to believe things that are not factual and it's just made up. And why would someone want to make that up anyways? Like
That's the whole point.
Some feminist sources claim that 8 to 9 million women were burned or murdered as witches in the UK by Christians.
What's that?
Is that
it's
true?
much lower than that.
Yeah, I don't know.
What's the event?
Seems like
burning
so it's like there could be horror.
Burning witches. How many witches were burned?
Or
there's been an exaggeration of the numbers of the witches being burned.
For feminist
exaggeration
purposes.
of numbers is irrelevant.
Is it irrelevant? I want to
Did
know
they
the
burn
truth.
one witch?
Oh, they did.
Would that make it okay?
I looked at the last witch, the last person who was burnt at the stake, was in.
How they determined the witch?
How they determine it?
Yeah.
Well, it was someone said that they'd done something or whatever. It was all these kinds of, you did something that someone reported you on, and you were a suspicious person.
Or the ugly women, they disliked the good looking one, and so they gang up on her.
Well, that would actually be more democratic.
But
so
who was the last woman that was burned at the stake?
It was a man who was burnt. The last person. And it was for heresy. And I don't know, I can't remember I think it's in England, but I'm not sure. Anyway, he got reprieve because they thought he had recanted. So he was on the pyre, and people thought he recanted. They came and they rescued him, and they took him off the pyre. And then he went back to his old ways of heresy, and so that was it. He was put on the pyre again.
And when was that?
It was about 400 years ago. I think it was in England.
Because there were people in Salem that were burned.
I don't think they were burned. They were drowned and stuff like that. Weren't there? And they crushed. One guy had stones put on them and stuff. I don't think people were burned at the stake in Salem.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's my general, just from reading the Crucible and nothing particularly systematic.
That was a situation where people were going nuts because there was some sort of one of the theories is that the wheat had some sort of fungus that was causing people to hallucinate, so they thought people were putting hexes on them and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So they started kind of going to a mass hysteria, similar to the Satanic Panic or the Kamloops.
I don't know what was in the water in Kamloops. There was some serious bad drugs were being distributed.
I spoke to one woman who's a professional Indian, and she
Professional Indian?
yeah, she
I get it. That's okay.
yeah, I've been part of her workshops. I learned how to make dream catchers and the teachings and the stories, and I've sung the songs with her. I've drummed the drumming and all that sort of stuff, just to learn about it. What's going on here, and it's interesting, and it could even just be seen as recreation. But I spoke with her because we've known each other for a long time at Canada Day. She was there drumming and singing, and I told her, I don't think that there was any murdered children at Kamloops, or that there's any clandestine burials of murdered children. And she said that her kukum, or whoever, dug graves as a child. And so in that moment, when you're face to face with someone, it was very difficult for me to say, well, I'm going to remain skeptical of that. Even though it's like, I don't think that's true. I don't think that little children, I can barely dig a.
Yeah, like if you've ever tried to dig holes in the ground. Like I remember once I was digging up a bunch of meat had gotten rotten, and we were trying to decide what to do with it. And we thought, well, we should just bury it. So we dug a hole to bury this bunch of stuff that had just gone rotten in this freezer. And first of all, we wet the ground. So we took a hose and wet the ground. So it wasn't hard ground. And it took quite a lot of doing to do it. It was not an easy thing to do. And so that was digging a grave. Like you see scenes of people digging graves. You never have the camera on them for the entire time that they dig the grave, because it would be a long time digging the grave. It'd be hours digging the grave of that size. What was it?
Are we talking about evidence here?
I'm just saying, this claim that children were digging graves. This is going to be a very unlikely scenario.
The claim of any sense is limited to the point of what evidence you have. Otherwise, don't even talk to me.
Yeah. It's not a very probable situation.
What evidence at all times? I'm Marxist. Marxism is based on the idea that evidence must be the progression of all of our philosophical progression. And the only way, how can we possibly have a society that lives, that continues, unless we combine, stop our conflicts?
Well, that's been the history. My own position is the evolution of humanity has been one of increasing cooperation. Because you started off with very small groups.
You know what it was? The elimination of conflict.
So those that learned how to cooperate in various ways were able to outcompete the ones who were not able to learn how to cooperate. But we still have the selfish, what Richard Dawkins calls the selfish gene. There's still that element within humanity where you have your genes. You are competing as a gene machine to have your genes be more successful than other genes. And that's part of humanity too. And that's got to be considered in any kind of theory. Is my own position. And I don't think Marxism really adequately considers the selfish gene aspect. That would be my major criticism of it.
I had to get seconds.
Let's do.
So good. There's thyme in here.
Yep. Thyme. Bay leaf. Salt. Pepper. Wine, of course. Red wine.
Being a Marxist, makes you constantly reconsider and you reevaluate all of the values that you have about society, about everything. The complete philosophy of a Marxist is to constantly question. And without that, you will fall into the many possibilities of divergent ideas.
I feel like the communists throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Communists, what?
I feel like the communists throw the baby out with the bathwater with their critiques of capitalism. Like, there's lots of things to criticize with capitalism.
Communism and capitalism are not two different hockey teams. We're talking about ideology here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how can you possibly support? There's no support anywhere in any logical explanation for capitalism. Capitalism is competition. So the competition, somebody has to lose all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But what are we searching for?
Survival of the fittest.
Oh, there you go.
But this is the there's Marxism as a theory, and there's
Sure.
there's Marxism as a theory,
Has a theory? Yeah.
and Marxism as an ideology.
Is that two different questions?
There's ways of looking at it, theoretically or ideologically.
Well, I can look at it both ways.
Yeah, but what I'm interested in is the theory, not the ideology, because the ideology means you're
You
going to.
know that all these questions are simply ways of trying to combat Marxism.
Well, it should be challenged just like any other theory.
No, it should be questioned.
Yeah, well,
Not
question.
challenged,
Well,
questioned.
What's the difference between
Challenge
questioning and
means
challenging?
you must be wrong.
No, challenging means you got to support your position. It's like
We
a
can be fundamentally wrong about cooperation of humanity.
if it's opposed to human nature, if that's not the way human nature is.
Who said it's human nature?
Well,
Where
that I'm
does
just saying,
that come from?
It's just hypothetical.
Oh yeah, we keep fighting, do we?
Well,
Why don't we find
Is it-
out, if we keep conflicting, why don't we find out what the conflict is?
but you asked me a question, I answered it, and then you
No,
reacted in a kind of a bombastic way,
No, sorry.
which is an
Go
indication
back,
of the
go
slight
back.
ideological.
Okay, go back.
Who's Robert and Bruce? Lots of ugly stuff the way Robert and Bruce died. I doubt that's made up. Who's Robert and Bruce?
Robert the Bruce.
Oh, Robert the Bruce.
I assume that's something in the Middle Ages. This is all about burning at the stake and stuff like that. Our last conversation that we got into, but we're just going to continue on with the situation. Is that one of the main criticisms of the idea of communism, workers of the world unite kind of idea, is that human nature is always competitive. Always has a competitive character, which
Human
is
nature is competitive, naturally.
it has a competitive
No,
character.
all progress is the process of encompassing, of encountering an obstruction and overcoming it. So that's progress. That's what happens. You know, we have this thing happening here, and then we overcome it. That's progress.
Mm-hmm. But
What's wrong with that?
no, but it's like, what is the thing that we're like? The different theoretical positions have different ideas about what they're overcoming.
It's not a difference of ideas. It is one singular thing, a bump in the road.
Yeah, but
We
the
are going
idea of what the
along, and
bump is.
suddenly
The idea of what the
we're
bump
obstructed.
is.
We
is
have
a
to
different-
deal with that.
No, but different theoretical positions have different ideas of what the bump is that you're overcoming. So liberals,
Who's saying what that is? Liberals and conservatives divide themselves up in the bump.
well, the bump,
Well, that's their
the
problem.
bump idea.
That
About,
proves how irrelevant they are, because they can't even defend who they are.
Well, it would have to be articulated first as to what we were talking about, which I don't think there's a good understanding in this conversation about what that is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like, what is the bump that liberalism is trying to overcome? True, not liberal party, but like actual liberalism.
Progress.
No, but what is what they think? What is it that they think is the obstacle to progress?
Something that stands in the way.
No, what do you think they think stands in the way?
What do you mean? What do I think stands in the way?
No, for
It
liberals.
obviously stands in the way.
For liberals.
It stops it from going forward.
Government overreach.
Yes.
What?
So what I'm asking, which you're just not listening to, is liberals have an understanding of something that is a bump in the way for progress. And what is it that they believe is the bump in the road?
You're talking about liberalism as a bunch of political parties.
No,
And I'm
ideology.
talking about an ideology.
Is liberalism as in the
It's
Enlightenment?
an ideology. Liberalism is an ideology.
Is that the Enlightenment? We're not talking about the political party.
Or the Enlightenment is a more like all the
But
modern.
as soon as you bring in the political parties,
No,
We're
but
not
liberal,
talking-
they call themselves liberal, but they might not be liberal.
Mhm.
In fact, the liberal,
we're calling them liberal.
I'm talking about liberalism, the ideology.
Well, okay, let's say there's liberalism and conservatism.
Mhm.
Okay, let's define that. So we have conservatism is whatever is happening right now and the defense of that to any opposition. Liberalism is when we say we want to do something else. Right? So those are broad generalizations that we can look at if we're going to discuss this.
Well, I want to do something else. Like that's a very vague way of characterizing it.
What?
I want to do something else.
So would, let's say, maintaining neutrality in a university or maintaining secular government, secular institutions, remaining neutral, would that be liberal or conservative?
Liberal. So the idea of equality under the law is a liberal principle. But liberalism is about freedom. That's what it's all about. Freedom, maintaining freedom. And that's not the Liberal Party, right? Because the Liberal Party is very illiberal because it is opposed to freedom, but it wants to have like censorship of the internet and all sorts of stuff like that. That's very illiberal for someone to be arguing that. But if they were truly liberal as the ideology, they would be removing all the restrictions on speech because that is what allows freedom to be able to flourish within a society.
That's assuming there are only two political positions. Liberalism is described and conservatism, which is to resist it.
So,
well, no, because you could have, you could see various forms of socialism.
Oh, that's only dancing between the two to stop the conflict, to stop the resolution of the conservative and the liberal. They should have a war. No, let's go in here and dance with one another.
Well, I'm saying
NDP?
Yeah, but the principle of freedom, well, this was George Orwell's point, was that, or at least he was kind of down. I don't know if he really articulated this in a very clear way, but you can sort of see it in the underpinnings of what he was talking about, is that the only way you can actually have freedom is in a socialist society.
oh,
Have I mentioned that before?
That
God.
was his argument. Or it wasn't articulated
Real
very
commie.
because if you live within a capitalist society, you are bound by the market and whether you have the money to be able to afford what it is.
Getting
you need to
ahead.
survive. So
Nothing wrong getting
if
ahead.
you have to struggle to survive, or you
I
really,
want to get ahead,
are you
man.
really free?
but that's what the church was for.
Fuck you.
The
I
church
want to
was
get
a-
ahead of you.
The church would, feed people and look after the wretched.
But you had to kowtow to the church. If you didn't do what the church wanted, they'd say, "Well, no, we're not looking after you." It's a way for the church to control people.
Oh.
Was to anyway, George Orwell. If you read Homage to Catalonia, which is one of the really incredible books that he wrote about the Spanish Civil War, he talks about the kind of mentality of the Catalonians. I think this is the Catalans, right? That they had this confidence that we are the producers, and you don't need tips when you go into a barber shop. This is part of the services that are going to be provided to humanity. And this guy is talking about, he meets him and he just had this kind of exuberance over this was his birthright to be able to fight for his country and to do this like this kind of thing, which was, to me, was quite striking in terms of how he was sort of describing it in this everyone had this confidence that they didn't have to be a servant to anyone. They didn't have to bow and scrape. They had entitlements to the things that they were because they were citizens. I'll let you guys continue just because someone's calling.
Okay, I'm going to look at some of these comments here.
Okay.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Yes, I am a big fan of Monty Python. Albert, are you a fan of Monty Python? Yes.
Absolutely.
The irreverence of the Holy Grail was a big deal. John Cleese got in big trouble for, or Life of Brian as well. Life of Brian, that got John Cleese in big trouble with his bishops who taught him in his boarding schools. They did a big interview about that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Imagine if you you'd never be allowed to do that. They did that to Christianity. You know, Christianity is such an absurd thing. But Islam, you'd never be able to do that.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. John Cleese tried to make it an Islam comedy.
Society, we should be rejecting Islam. Absolutely. You were saying that before. I don't realize that. Let's progress in humanity here. First of all, we should get rid of all religions.
Well, but it has to be through consent.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Oh no. I mean, it can't be by the fact that we make it some kind of a legal thing, but we have to convince people not to be religious anymore.
Well, some people argue that the lack of religiosity led to a vacuum, which brought in the new religion of gender ideology and believing that you can be born in the wrong body.
The new religion of what?
The new sort of religiosity, because it's a belief that you can be born in the wrong body, of transgenderism. They believe that you can have a special gender soul, right? So.
Do you believe that?
No.
No. Fine. Let's not discuss that.
No,
anymore.
I don't. Although
let's discuss whether God tells me what to
do. This person, Daniel Sparkling Eyes. Oh, he's one of my favorites.
Yes.
He says they burned witches at the stake at Kamloops Indian Residential School. I can still hear their screams.
Why not? Burning babies at the stake or whatever. Baby burnings. Incinerator is the big one. And that was Annette, just right out of Kevin. Annette was obsessed about this kind of stuff, burning babies in incinerators and so on. And there's a bit of that. There's a book called Behind Closed Doors by Agnes Jack about the Kamloops case, and they interview a whole bunch of people. One of the people interviewed is Mona Jules. You know, they have pseudonyms, so you don't know who they are, but you know it's Mona because she talks about her sister. Irene, I believe her name was, who died of a disease. Anyway, there was one mention of the furnace, like the kind of, everyone sort of thought the furnace was a very scary kind of area of the school. It was just a ghost story, like children having these kind of stories where they kind of freak each other out and stuff. That was kind of a
right. Yeah,
let's take a look at what's going on here. So we've got 47 people that are. Okay, I'm going to just go to the end.
Okay.
You know what? I think we should all be our own harshest critic.
Good idea.
I know that I am my own.
Right. But we gotta take it easy.
So what is your biggest fault, would you say, Albert?
Me? With
Don't
a fault?
admit to anything. I'm representing Albert. Albert, you don't have to answer any of these
This is
questions.
your own harshest critic. Like, let's give some criticisms that you
Oh,
made.
I definitely see faults in myself.
Okay.
I can't just bring them up right now, but it's a constant thing where I'm aware of what my faults are, and I think that's important. First of all, I don't have many, quite frankly. You guys,
How do you know if a fault is a fault?
well,
what if
they're
it's
all
just
my
a
own value
quirk?
system. No, a value system.
It's if you don't like it, you're the sculptor.
No, I have, a sense of formal morality. I don't do anything that hurts anyone else.
Francis might disagree with that.
I don't know.
That's good to go.
No, I'm just bugging you, Albert.
That's okay. I get the humor. But what about that? It doesn't make me an ideal or anything else. Why aren't you that? Or
Couples can be.
You probably are
mean
that.
sometimes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, why isn't everybody like that?
Right. Well, I don't know. Sometimes I think we could have a cruelty streak in us. Sometimes we're mean to people. Your words can either hurt or heal people. Right. Yeah.
What
are you saying?
I'm making a joke about the buffalo robe at
There's
Mount
this buffalo skin
buffalo skin
that says your words either help or either heal or hurt people. Like your words, that's when you're speaking. Just
That's
remember.
true. That's true.
No,
And-
it's
and
not.
so do
Sometimes
mine.
your words don't hurt. or
I
heal.
know that I sometimes can say things that hurt people. I know that.
but
I know that. I'm not.
But when you're pursuing intellectual matters, you can't be concerned about whether someone's feelings are going to be hurt by what you
No,
believe to
that's
be
right.
the truth.
That's right.
Okay, so we have some factual information which was provided by Janice about who Robert the Bruce was.
Okay.
And this is Braveheart in Scotland.
Oh,
Which, remember Mel Gibson, riding around on the horse and stuff?
I never saw it. I need to watch it.
Well, there's kind of a funny. The only reason why I haven't watched it myself, but John Oliver did this program on Scotland, Scottish independence, and he had Mel Gibson riding around as Braveheart, and it was just kind of amusing because of. Well, the whole thing is a little bit amusing. Like, I don't know exactly what Braveheart is in Scotland, like what the actual history is, but Mel Gibson had like his face painted. Part of it blue, part of it white, and was riding around on a horse and talking about freedom of people and so on. But the whole thing just had an authentic kind of character to it. It seemed to me, just watching it. It seemed very a Hollywood kind of interpretation of Braveheart. But maybe that's how it was. I have no idea. But it looked a little bit too manicured. Like, if you think of the Holy Grail with Monty Python, when they have their scenes, when they're going through a medieval kind of village, when they're saying, bring out your dead, and they're putting all the dead bodies into the cart and everything. It had a real, very, very believable kind of character to it.
Yeah, but we've accepted transferring into another period, into a non-realistic period.
So
Story.
Daniel Sparkling Eyes is asking Hillary Cairo, is that a joke, right? Try to sue someone a lot richer than you? ? Courts are messy and we routinely deny justice.
Definitely.
You have law enforcement to discourage theft, fraud, murder, etc. Capitalism is an anarchy. So I don't think you have to pay if you are a plaintiff in a case that's criminal. You don't have to pay. Well, I guess you could pay for a lawyer.
Well, you get legal aid, right? That's the whole idea, is that they pay for you.
But suing, that's a civil matter, and yes, that's
Or
very
the Crown. If it's a murder case, the Crown is the one that goes to trial against the person who's committed the murder, is alleged to have committed the murder.
Right.
So the Crown has taken over the role of the individual in pursuing the matter.
Mm-hmm.
But civil matters are totally different.
Super expensive.
Because civil matters are like, you've got to take it on yourself. You're not going to have the Crown coming in and dealing with some kind of civil matter.
Mm-hmm.
It's left up to the individuals involved.
Albert, someone's concerned that you're not being fed. Saying, feed Albert, please feed Albert. Albert, would you like seconds?
I'm fine. Thank
You're
you.
fine? Okay, excellent. Albert's being fed.
No, but I think it might have been because Albert's getting a bit feisty. He's getting a little bit feisty.
Spicy?
Feisty.
Feisty.
You're getting feisty, and I think they were concerned that your feistiness was due to your being deprived of food.
I'm always happy to be people concerned about me.
Yes. Okay. I'm trying to. I have no idea where we are in the. I'm just looking for some questions that might be good things to look at.
Albert is tiptoeing through the tulips.
Well,
You were being accused of tiptoeing through the tulips.
That's a song.
I don't even know what that means.
I think it's like you're being
Through the
idealistic.
tulips.
Probably idealistic would be my guess. Although
I have
it's
no
a-
idea.
No, it's a love song.
okay.
Yeah.
Most people on this chat, I think, are somewhat skeptical about the position of Marxism. Would be my guess.
What?
Most of the people on this chat would be my guess that they would be skeptical about the Marxist position.
Yes. Collectivism. This is Iggy Burnaby. Collectivism versus individualism is more the case. Left versus right is a smokescreen for haves and have-nots. Maybe?
I don't think so. I think left and right is still economic equality is the left side of the spectrum. To what extent you think the economic equality is the way to solve the problems of the world, and the right is hierarchy, various kind of hierarchy of ownership, and of course fascism, far right, which is like legal inequality, maintaining the property relations. So it still makes sense, but because we're dealing with all this woke nonsense all the time, which doesn't fall along that, it falls along totalitarian, like a totalitarian framework, because it's like you should have to accept this even if you don't think it's true. Like that kind of idea is very common in what we're dealing with now in society.
See, that's why I think Marxism is fascist. Because it has to be imposed upon you.
But that's fascism doesn't mean imposed upon people.
No.
Fascism means a system of inequality. It's a combination of an unequal system with capitalism. So, and it can vary. Like in Nazi Germany, which was fascist, it was the Aryan group was going to have a legal protection, was going to have more rights,
Mm-hmm.
and it was going to control the capitalist system in its own interests.
Well, I think you could
Use the state to do
right, but that's fascist capital. But I think that
But
in
its
order,
tendencies are still relevant today.
but to implement communism, you have to be fascist, like the Pol Pot regime.
But the
Vietnam.
fascism
What is
is
it- what did you
you're
say?
talking about authoritarian. So you're
Isn't
sort
that
of
fascist?
well,
to-
fascism is authoritarian, but not all authoritarian regimes are fascist.
Okay.
Authoritarianism is just the use of the state to control everything and not having sort of freedom of association and
Right. So
And
if they
so-
control your what you're allowed to say and that sort of thing, is that not fascist?
it's authoritarian.
It's authoritarian.
So you could have like the Soviet Union was not fascist; it was authoritarian, and it controlled what people said for sure.
I use those words like synonymously.
Yeah, but it's
Interchangeably.
it's like the general category and the specific. So the general category is authoritarian.
Mhm.
There's a variety of different flavors of that. Fascism is a particular kind of authoritarianism. It's my understanding.
And so what makes it its own flavor then?
Fascism?
Yeah.
Hierarchical capitalism,
Okay.
as opposed to a liberal democratic capitalism, which is what supposedly exists in.
The concept of capitalism, as you were demanding from fascism, it has been explored by a number of writers. Lenin for one, and so we can't have. First of all, there's never been an absolute fascism. There's never been absolute communism either. So to look at it, we always have to look at it in the theoretical context, not in the, well, see what happens, which is always what the capitalists die. See what happened? They have communism here. We never had communism anywhere. But communism is the fundamental principle. Workers of the world unite. Without that is the principle. And without the world unite, you don't have communism. You don't have communism in Cuba or some little place that has a whole lot of restrictions and so on.
Right.
And that always proves how they're wrong. See? We didn't think it were in Cuba, did we? Look at all the sanctions that happens to Cuba when after the revolution occurred that the Americans didn't. They made people in Cuba starve. They said, starving, we don't like communism. This is awful. Yeah, that proves communism is wrong. That's it. What I just did there is a simple kindergarten, but absolutely truthful event.
It's a little bit over my head. I need to learn more.
Okay, so I think we're testing the audience's patience here, but because we are going to wrap things up. But I just wanted to. Unfortunately, didn't get a chance to look at all the comments, which are quite impressive, actually, very, very impressive. But we will be able to look at them after the fact because they'll be saved in the whole video.
I always think of communism and fascism though as like a horseshoe theory.
Well, that's because of the totalitarian, like the compass. I'm not sure you see the political compass. It's left and right, liberalism and authoritarianism. So you can have left liberalism and left authoritarianism, right liberalism and right authoritarianism. Like those are like it's a mixing of those two things, and you can map people as to where they are. Like George Orwell would be a liberal socialist, so he's left wing but liberal. And someone like I'm just thinking about right wing people who are liberal. Like in the sense of capitalism, pro-capitalism, but being liberal, like don't care about sexual orientation matters or, drug policy or like this is all up to the individual. But at the same time, we shouldn't have any redistribution of wealth. It should be completely just let the market decide. So you can have massive inequality under that kind of system because you're not going to do anything to ameliorate. That would be a liberal right winger who would have a liberal attitudes, but be kind of not being concerned about economic inequality. So I think it's a compass. That political compass is the right way of conceptualizing liberalism with left wing, authoritarianism with left wing, versus and then liberal right wing, liberal authoritarianism.
One of the things that occurs to me that doesn't come up in a general concern about is the educational levels of working class people. Working class people have lower levels of education. They drop out of school. They have bad educational standards. They have in the United States, all the impoverished people live in the middle states. They go to middle schools. Nobody wants to teach in middle school. So you get the lowest level of teaching. There they go. The lowest level of dropouts. Highest level.
But they might gain other
What are we saying?
too,
What we're talking about here? No, excuse me, interrupting you. But
No,
what I want to tell you is we should be talking in terms of class. The working class is subjected to a whole lot of lower level things that make them impoverished. and involved in crime, because crime comes from poverty. Rich people don't go out and rob grocery stores.
Yeah, but they do other crimes. They do like
So what?
White
What
collar
other
crimes.
crimes do they do? Oh,
embezzling,
white-collar
insider
crimes?
trading,
Cheating each other?
Yes.
No kidding.
Yes.
Who gives a fuck? What about the people being robbed in a corner store?
Well, they could be cheating their investors. Maybe someone put their last life
Are
savings
you
into.
supporting the a society that has people without resources, poor people?
Well, I think that people
Poor
would give
people
voluntarily
commit
through.
crimes.
Yeah, but people I think would give voluntarily through charity. I think that should be. I don't think people should be forced. I think taxation is theft.
What?
I don't think people should be forced to give up whatever they're earning, however they're earning it, in taxes.
Oh, no.
I would love to abolish all
No,
taxes.
of course not. No, but we have a juxtaposition in society where there's a whole lot of poor people and a whole lot of rich people, and the poor people steal from the rich people.
Albert, do you mind if I
Pretty
have a little
much
bit more
what it
wine?
Well,
Albert, can you hit me with the wine, please?
Anyway, so we're at 2 hours and 40 minutes here, and we want to just this has been a lot of fun.
sorry, I missed that.
Just giving a bit of insight into the dinner parties that are held
Voila.
at the Widdowson
It's
Howards,
French.
which is good.
Yes.
Like, it's all good. You know,
Yeah, normally we don't have a TV on or whatever the video goes.
no one said anything that they're ashamed of, I don't think. So this is good. Just to give people an update, we have United Kingdom. I'm going to the United Kingdom tomorrow night,
Mm-hmm.
flying overnight to go to Buckingham University. And then I'm going to be presenting on digging their own graves, universities, and the Kamloops 215 deception, about how universities have been massively involved in perpetuating this deception. Peter Boghossian is going to be there. Alan Sokol is going to be there. Helen Joyce, who's a person who's critical of the trans issue. Elizabeth Weiss, Nigel Biggar, a number of other important individuals. I think Gazad is presenting remotely, so he's not going to be there. Anyway, so that's the plan for the rest of the week. I'm going to be back on Sunday. And so on Monday, the following Monday, we'll have a bit of a recap of, I might be able to send some stuff from the UK, but I have no idea what the internet situation is going to be like, because I haven't been to the UK or any place overseas since 2019, which was when COVID, just the year before COVID stuff. I haven't traveled overseas, so I have no idea what anything is like there anymore. Like, I'm sure it's got similarities to what it was before, but who knows. But anyway, yeah, Maze Howe. Like, if Maze Howe is listening, you should send me an email, widdowsonfrancis@gmail.com, and we can hook up and talk about GPR and all these kinds of
Oh,
things.
is Maze Howe in the UK?
Yes. Yep. It's an archaeologist, supposedly, well, or to be believed. Anyway, but if you're around, if you're going to be in the UK and I'm going to be in London because I'm going to make my way from London to Buckingham, which takes, I got to take some trains and some tube rides. It'll be a bit planes, trains, and automobiles, to get from London to. But I want to do it because I want to experience what London is like these days, which I've heard is mass immigration has not done London very many favors, is my general kind of intel. But who knows? Maybe it's just perfectly civilized the way it always has been, and it just is a more multicultural kind of environment. But I want to kind of see a little bit of London on, I guess it's going to be the Wednesday, because I've traveled. So I'm going to arrive at noon on London. So anyway, that's going to be pretty much preoccupying the entire week. But next Monday, a week from it's Monday today. A week from today at 4 p.m., I'll do another video and do a breakdown of what happened in London and everything that went on. So thanks a lot for joining us. I think we've covered a lot of ground. It'll be interesting to see what people think about this kind of experiment. Have a great evening.
To Gary.
To Gary.